All right, welcome back to another episode of the Down the Line podcast. And once again, I'm Nick. I'm here with my boy Ethan. How are we doing on this fine Thursday?
Doing great. How about yourself?
Dude, I'm doing good. Are you excited for well, not a week from today, a week from tomorrow? You excited?
Yeah,
That's when your goat's dropping.
yeah.
That's when your goat's dropping. I'll be peeping that shit too. Don't even worry. Um Aside from that though, we got some things we wanna talk about today, obviously. Around this time of year, not only do playoff races heat up, we talked a little bit about some of those last week. Some stuff has changed. The Brewers actually lost a game, finally. Um, so God actually might be real. There's a chance. Um, but there was something that you sent me right after we finished, right after we wrapped up last week. You wanna introduce us into what you wanted
Yeah,
to bring up?
so this has to do with Rafael Flores. He was, I guess, the quote unquote headliner in the David Bednar to the Yankees trade. This article was written by Colin Beasley, at Colin_Beasley, Colin with one L on X/Twitter. He's a Pirates reporter for the Pittsburgh Post Gazette, and wrote an article talking about the prospect about this prospect Rafael Flores, who the article was written about proving doubters wrong of at least his of what how he feels him being the prospect. And something very interesting came out of this article, and this really shines a light onto some of the problems that we see. It could tie into the conversation we had on the last episode about ownership and being cheap and just stuff like that, because one of the things that we said was if you're going to not be spending money, you have to be able to develop these players at a young age.
Yeah, and that's
So
why
in this,
that's why we
yeah,
see so many teams like we go so consistently good. We talked so much about like the Brewers and Rays and stuff last week. We're not gonna go over it all again, but that's a big part of the reason why some of these small market teams are able to compete, because they just have insane player development. And that's why some teams, like even the Dodgers, who are a big market team, they would not be as sustainable. They would not be as consistently good as they've been over the past 10+ years if it wasn't for their elite player development.
yep. Uh, I'm obviously not going to read the entire article, but I did. It is a very good read, so check it out if you haven't. Again, the article is called "From Anaheim to Alaska: Pirates prospect Rafael Flores focused on proving doubters wrong." It's on the Post Gazette, by Colin Beasley. So definitely check that out if you want to read the whole thing. But basically, the article was getting into about who he is as a player, as a prospect, and and it mentions how Flores has never been seen as a can't miss guy. He wasn't recruited at a high school like to be like a top guy, and I mean he went undrafted after all. And you know this is really where we get into it. So the ex the well the piece that I want to focus on from this article was saying, talked about adapting to a new organization. He said he's already noticed some differences. Flores said the Yankees minor league focus is pure player development, while the Pirates value team success more. Flores also said the Yankees give every catcher every available piece of information, while the Pirates tailor each report with what information a catcher wants. And then he goes on to say, I want to get there and win games and understand how to win games and be a team leader and be that kind of guy for the team. Like I said, I'm just excited for the opportunity to be here. And obviously, he's not going to come out straight away and say, I'm here to develop and I don't care what happens in the minor leagues type of thing, because this isn't a guy who is expected to just come up to the majors and be some, incredible guy. Like we've seen some Pirates prospects get called up and do some big things. Paul Skeens, O'Neill Cruz. I mean, he's not a guy that's expected to be like that. So that's another thing. But what really, you know, caught my eye in this was the fact that for the minor leagues, why are you trying to win? Like that may be it's funny to hear out loud, but like your goal as a minor league team is to develop these players, to make them the best versions of the players they can be, not to win a championship. Obviously, you're going to try to win a championship. Obviously, that's a goal. but I think I don't want to say that's the only thing that separates the Yankees from the Pirates, but is it fair to say that that could be a reason as to why, I like a reason as to why maybe the Yankees are more evolved than the Pirates?
Yeah, it's so weird because like your main that's like that is your function as a minor league team is to develop players. You obviously I'm not saying you don't try to win a game or whatever. Obviously that's not what anyone's getting at, but your primary function is to try to develop these skills for minor league players that will translate into success for the major league team. If the team with the double A, triple A, single A, whatever team goes out there and they have good team success, that's fine and dandy. But if you're not really if you're not properly developing a lot of the skills that it takes to succeed in the major leagues, right? If you're not let's say developing like someone's power swing or if someone's velo isn't taking a jump or if they're not improving their stuff or their break or whatever, then it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you as a minor league team are not serving your proper function if you are not attempting to simply aid these players in developing their skill sets so that they can reach the major leagues, right?
Yeah.
Also, one thing that's weird is like, for example, right? Let's say you're really invested in team success and your double A team is doing really good. Let's say you have some guy who maybe isn't quite on like the cusp of making the major league roster, but he's getting there, like he's close, and he really should be getting promoted to triple A. Really to get a little bit more meaningful at bats. He's facing a little bit higher level competition. Some guys who are fringe major leaguers. Obviously, those are still major leaguers, right?
Yeah.
Would you are you gonna not promote him so that the double A team can win a few more games? Obviously the right move is to in this scenario, I'm not playing this with a specific prospect, I'm just kind of laying out a hypothetical, but in that scenario you would probably want to push your guy up, especially if it's a top prospect guy, to get him a bit more meaningful at bats, right?
Yeah.
But in this hypothetical scenario, you wouldn't, because you want the double A team to keep up a win streak, win the championship, or whatever. Now, again, I will repeat myself in saying this is not saying that you shouldn't be attempting to win games. Like, you can do that, sure. That's fine. If you win games, you win a double A, triple A, whatever championship. That's totally okay. That's fine. There is nothing wrong with that. But again, that should not be your primary purpose. You shouldn't be sitting there and thinking our teams at every level need to be winning the championship in their respective leagues and whatnot, right? Because really, if the major league team isn't winning or is not putting themselves in a position to be good in a few years or something like that, you are failing as an organization, right? Ultimately, some people, obviously, like how many people have you heard refer to a team's minor league system as like farm teams? We all know that term, farm teams, right?
Yeah.
We all know that term because essentially that's what you are. You are getting players ready to go play for the Pirates, the Rangers, or whoever, right? That is the point. The point is not to try and go out there and win I don't remember the names of the leagues all in the minors, but whatever league championship, right? You're trying to develop a player's skills so that he can reach the majors and help the major league team win, because that's the one that matters,
that's
right?
that's the most important. And obviously everyone on a minor league team isn't going to get their shot in the majors because that's not practical. Nothing's perfect where everyone gets their chance, and that's the unfortunate part of it. So to some of these players, this is like AAA, AA are the highest levels they're reaching, so obviously they'd like to win there, but I just feel like these teams need to do a better job of setting these players up for success to get that chance.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that really that really made me think in this quote is the fact that he said The Yankees give every catcher every available piece of information. Well, the Pirates tailor each report with what information a catcher wants. And this is where we kind of get at this crossroads because yes, you want the catcher to have what they want. But at the same time, if a catcher is not wanting a lot of information, you shouldn't just say, "Oh, okay, here we're not going to give it to you," because that's not going to help them be the best version of the player they can be.
Exactly.
Whereas the Yankees are going above and beyond and making sure that everything they'll need as a catcher is there in front of them.
Exactly. Here, like, if you don't want the information, like, you don't, like, here's the information. If you don't want to take this into account or whatever, you don't have to use it, but it's here for you in case you want,
Exactly.
or whatever. Maybe down the road you think, okay, you know what, maybe this actually would have been useful here, or here, or here, or whatever, right? But that's really weird that you are not giving your players every possible solution. That's just really weird, and I don't get it. And I think it's a good example. I don't know if I would say example, because I mean, obviously the guys played in the Pirates and Yankees minor league teams, but I think that it makes a lot of sense that you see a team like the Yankees. They say, yeah, we're giving our catchers every piece of information that we have that they could possibly use, right? Whereas the Pirates are like, what do you want? Tell me what you want, right? Obviously, like, you know, they can do with the information what they want. But this doesn't surprise me because the Yankees are also relatively good at player development. I wouldn't say they're like top of the line, but they're still like pretty solid. They've developed, especially some of the bullpen arms they've developed over the last few years have been really good.
Yeah, for sure.
Like how they seemingly made Clay Holmes an elite reliever out of nowhere.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen some like this year even come up through their system and impress, like, you know, Pam Schlittler, who just had an incredible game last night. Like, there's, you know, they've been doing this for a while.
Ben Rice
getting players there.
Ben Rice is legitimately like ridiculous, and he was like 12th round pick or something. Like, he's legitimately such a stud. His numbers don't jump off the page because he's hitting like 240 whatever, but legitimately this kid smokes the shit out of the ball.
Yeah. Look at Luis Heel last year, rookie of the year.
Yeah.
They can develop their players. That's not something that
this is what happens when you set you said it perfectly, when you set your guys up for success, right? You can use every tool at your disposal. And, you know, obviously not every single one's going to be a hit. You might miss on what you thought was an elite prospect, right? But it's honestly a lot of what great player development systems end up doing a lot of the time. It's not necessarily just making sure your 1-1 guy hits. Obviously, if you pick up a guy first overall and he's good, well, I mean, obviously you have to develop him, but like also there was a reason he went 1-1. But if you're developing your 12th round, your 15th, your whatever round picks, that's the ones where it really makes a difference.
100%.
When those people turn into real good contributing players. Those are the ones that make the big difference. We know what round was Kevin Pillar picked in? He was like 30th round or something ridiculous, right?
Something like that, yeah.
And I mean, he was like, I'm not coming out here saying he was a superstar, but he was an impactful major leaguer, right?
You can't have a 13-year career by being bad.
Exactly.
That's for sure.
Exactly, right? And you don't get picked 30th round, or you don't even have to go that far to say 30th round. You don't get picked in the 15th round, let's say, and then make the major leagues because of nothing, right? That obviously is player development. The system helped a lot to develop a player. Like, I think Ben Rice is a great example because he has such good tools, right? But that's really interesting, and to be honest, I can't really say that I'm surprised, because also, how many, I hate to do this, Pirates fans, how many like guys for the Pirates have come up over the past however many years, and we thought that they were going to be really good, and then they've just been like kind of okay. Remember when everyone thought that Gregory Polanco was going to be like that? You remember that?
Oh yeah.
When everyone thought he was going to be like that, and everyone was fantasizing the Kutch Kutch, Marte, Polanco outfield, and how ridiculous that was going to be. And then Gregory Polanco was just never really that good.
Yeah, I mean, we see that unfortunately too much.
Mm-hmm. And not just with the Pirates. They're not the only team in the league like this, but this is the kind of thing that's, excuse me, that's going to cause you to kind of lag behind as an organization if you can't develop your players. It's honestly
Yeah,
that simple, right?
and that's another thing because, like you said, if you draft a guy, let's say sixth, seventh overall, obviously there's something there that's like, okay, this guy's legit, and honestly, we don't have to do much. This guy should very comfortably be a major league player soon.
Exactly. Like
That's the thing.
like it's no wonder Paul Skeens is dominating. Like he was
It's not.
nuts.
It's
in
not
college.
hard. It's not that hard to mess up on first round picks, and
Mhm.
obviously, I'm not going to say that you can't. But I'm just saying,
happens.
if you pick a guy top 5, top 10, then the idea is that they're a legit, blue chip prospect that I don't want to say can't miss because there's always a possibility, but pretty much won't miss.
Mm-hmm. They shouldn't.
And yeah, it's when you get you're on the board. It's the 10th, 11th round. Those rounds, you're in like the dog days of the draft, I guess, if you will, and it's kind of like you're picking guys who have some tools here and there. You're not picking a guy who's some unbelievable generational prospect because they wouldn't be available there.
Mm-hmm.
You're picking guys who have some tools that you see that you can work on and turn him into something even better than what other teams see. Whether it's, oh, this guy, his bat speed is really fast, or he crushes the ball, or he's got disgusting movement on a slider, and we can work towards making him into, an elite shutdown reliever or something. Stuff like that, seeing something and helping them get to where they could be, that's what you need to do. And obviously you're not going to miss on a guy like Paul Skeens, who is considered one of the most hyped up pitching prospects ever. But for a guy like I'm looking right now, for some of their guys in their system, Connor Griffin I think is legit, and I think he's going to be a stud in the majors. But Tamar Johnson, for example, can you say this? Can you say he's a surefire thing? Could you say Nick York is going to be a surefire thing? Like, they have some prospects that are solid, but are kind of slowing down in the development just because of they're not really getting or they're not getting called up because the team says, hey, we're doing well in AA, we need to try to win here, like was said in that article.
Mm-hmm. And like we said about like moving a guy up when they need to be, reps are so important. Eventually, a guy doesn't need to be in high A anymore. He doesn't need to be in AA anymore. But eventually, a guy doesn't need to be in the minor leagues anymore. Just period, right?
Right.
But like eventually, a guy doesn't need to be at a certain level anymore, and eventually, it's time to move him up because he needs more advanced reps, right? If I'm trying to develop whatever, right? If I am really trying to be a really good fastball hitter, I might start a little bit on a guy who has a slower fastball, and then once I'm really good at that, I'm gonna move up. I'm not gonna keep swinging on the guy that's throwing 80, right? I'm speaking in like relative like major league terms, but I wouldn't be able to hit 80 myself, but that's not the point. But I'm not going to keep swinging at the guy forever that's hitting 80 on his fastball. No, eventually I'm going to go, okay, let's try a couple miles an hour faster. Let's try 83, right? Okay, now let's try 86. And, you move up, right? It's the same thing as moving up in the minor league levels. I'm not going to get better at hitting a fastball if I just only practice against hitting 80. I have to practice against something a little harder and harder once I have gotten it down at a certain level, right? Once I've gotten the timing down, once I've gotten everything really down, the swing path, all of that stuff, once it's all down, that's when, all right, I can move up to the next one, and I can adjust, and then eventually, the cycle continues. You keep moving up once you get it down. This doesn't really sound like that at all, right?
No, not at all.
And I don't know. Something that's sad, like it's already tough when it's an owner who like doesn't spend at all, and obviously like every Pirates fan ever wants this dude out of town, wants this guy to sell the team, and this isn't the only owner in baseball like this. It's not the only It's not the owner.
And it's also not 100% on
right?
the owner, because we've seen the GM do some questionable things that fans are calling for
That
his head
also
to be
too.
on too.
That also too, right? It's a plethora of things. But when it was primarily about player development. When you are lagging behind in something that is so important, that is a problem. That's going to make it so much harder for you to compete with the big dogs, right? You don't have to
Yeah.
develop your 15th round pick into the starting third baseman of the All-Star game. That's not what has to happen. If you can just simply,
No.
if that 15th round guy, that guy who's picked 17th round or whatever, if he can just become a serviceable major leaguer, that can go a long way, right? That can
Yeah,
go a
and that's the
long
thing.
way.
Like, some of these guys' ceilings are unfortunately, maybe a 1.5, 2 win player. And I say unfortunately because obviously everyone wants to be a superstar MVP guy. But, it's just the truth of it that not everyone's going to even be able to be a 1.5 war guy.
Yep.
But let's say that's the ceiling for some of these guys. That helps so much because you need guys like that on a team. And if you're developing the players the right way and they're getting to that 1.5 war player ceiling, if you have a couple of those, that adds up. On top of other guys that you don't miss on, like I said, for example, in the Pirates case, Paul Skeens, Connor Griffin. I'm gonna say Connor Griffin's floor or ceiling is way higher than 1.5. I'd say his floor is around that, but you know what I mean? Like, having the guys who aren't the number one prospect in your organization, maybe are lower in the list. Maybe they're not even a top 20 or top 30 prospect right now.
Mm-hmm.
You need those guys to be able to get developed, get the information from the coaches, work with the analytics team, work with whoever it is they're working with in the complex, in double A, single A, wherever they are, and kind of elevate their game to the next level. And it just doesn't seem like the Pirates are built to do that right now. It just seems like they care more about the team success. And that's great. You don't want to build a losing culture. But does winning a single A championship mean anything when the MLB team still needs, guys that aren't being developed? That's where
Nope.
the issue lies.
It means fuck all. Yeah, I don't know. That was a crazy thing. When you sent me that, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, there's no way.
Yeah,
There's no way.
yeah.
That's that's crazy, man.
Also, there is something else. This one isn't like important. I just found it funny, and you know us, we like to have some fun on this show.
Oh yeah.
It's a quote from August 16th. So that was in which the Giants lost a game 2-1 against Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Following the game, Bob Melvin, the manager of the Giants, said, "We take the field every day in good spirits and got to do it again the next day, unfortunately." The manager of this MLB team quite literally said, "Unfortunately, our team plays baseball tomorrow."
Yo, he's actually a Twitter doomer poster. That's fucking crazy, man.
Yeah, so that's another thing. I'm not saying that, him saying that is the reason why the Giants are not, in a great spot, but it doesn't help when even the manager is kind of dreading the next day.
Yo,
so.
I can't believe Bob Melvin's actually an MLB Twitter doomer poster. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he could be, his burner could be any one of us, really.
Yo, dude, his burner probably, like, listen, if any of you are listening, you've probably seen Bob Melvin's burner on Twitter.
Yeah.
Whoever it is, yo, Bob Melvin, follow us on your burner. Real shit.
Come on the podcast, talk about it,
yeah,
come
on the pod. Let us know your burner. I'll follow you on there. Real shit. Okay, we have another really interesting thing. So this kind of came out of nowhere, right? So, if I remember seeing the clip right, it was Rob Manfred was like on like one of the broadcasts for a game, I think it was. And he kind of started talking about, like, obviously expansion. We've been talking about expansion for a long time. We've been talking about certain teams relocating and stuff like that. Obviously, like, the Athletics are the big elephant in the room. For a few years, people were talking about the Rays. He talked about potential expansion and also potentially division, like realigning the divisions. One of the quotes is like this, right? "I think if we expand it, it provides us with an opportunity to geographically realign. I think we could save a lot of wear and tear on our players in terms of travel, and I think our postseason format would be even more appealing because you'd be playing out of the East and out of the West." That is a little interesting. On one hand, okay, number one, for any of this to be possible, you would have to have some teams join the league. So it's not like things as is right now, and then he jumbles up the divisions and stuff like that, right?
Yes.
Obviously,
With the expansion,
this
you have
would
to come in first.
this would require probably 2 expansion teams.
I think 2 would be good because you don't want to have a jumble. Like, you don't want to have like 40 teams.
Yeah, no. You don't want to have like 4 teams coming in next expansion, but you probably, if you're going to do this realignment thing, you probably want 2 teams to come in first.
I think 2's the perfect amount.
Yeah,
because it allows you to have 8 14 divisions. It allows you to really not have to do a lot. Like, you know what I mean? It makes the job easier. It helps with the fan bases, just kind of not having so many new teams in, and like for the casual fans, I think 2's a great place to start for sure.
Now, here's the thing. Number one, people don't want to do the uneven divisions thing, right?
Which completely fair.
To be totally honest, yes, that is fair, but I don't really see why that's a massive issue because given the current playoff format, I don't really think it would change much, to be totally honest.
But I also think if they're talking about doing this, it's something that they've been thinking about as well. Obviously. Even without expansion, it's something that they've probably been talking about. Like, even if we don't get a hypothetical Charlotte or Portland team, whatever the teams that are being talked about are. And yeah, like, I don't know. I think it would be better to have, 14 divisions. Every division is the same. I think it makes more sense. Personally.
Now, hold on. Here's the thing. So, number one, no matter if they did 8 divisions, 4 teams each, obviously you would have to completely probably reshake how the playoff format works. And when I say that, I mostly mean like division titles just aren't going to exist anymore. There have been numerous like projected realignments or proposed realignments, right? There was one. Oh, I don't know if I liked or saved the tweet. I really hope I did. But there was one where it was Here, hold on. I'm going to quickly see if I can find the tweet really quick. I really hope I saved this. But there was one that I saw where it was a collection of... Never mind, I found it. So, this was... so, Fox, or MLB on Fox, they tweeted out potential MLB realignments.
I know
right?
What you're talking about.
And one of their divisions consisted of... Cleveland, Washington, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh. Obviously, this is what I'm going to say. This does not apply to the current year, but it still is a relevant thing. If these divisions... So, this tweet, thank you, at Yankee World, is where I saw this tweet.
By the way, I'm looking at the name of that division. It's AL Mid-Atlantic. They're really putting the mid in that division.
Yeah, they are putting the mid in that division. So, the tweet reads like this, right? If these divisions existed in 2010... the Guardians and Nationals would have tied for the division lead with a record of 69 and 93. Now, would this end up being the case if it happened today? I don't think so, right? Because, number one, these records are taken from the fact that all 4 of these teams are in their own divisions, right? These were probably 5th place teams in all their divisions. The Pirates definitely, the other ones, max they were 4. I don't care to look up the 2010 standings right now. Sorry.
Right.
But I think what would happen here, or maybe not what would happen, but what you give a lot of potential to do, right? Yeah. One of the things that we talk about, we sometimes currently talk about how, this division's so much better than this one. I think that has the potential to become a lot worse if you do 8 divisions, right? We currently talk about... It's been said for a long time, like, the AL Central's mid compared to every other division. And there's some truth to it. I think it's a little exaggerated, but there is some extent of truth to it. And, obviously, like, it's said that, like, it's pretty widely conceived that certain divisions, like for example, the AL East is like a gauntlet division, right? Like somehow all those teams are always good. Like remember 2021 when there was like 4 teams in that division that won 90 games, or however many times when 85 wins was good for like 4th place. Like
and back to this like projected or not projected, but this potential mock up of the divisions. one of the divisions is Yankees, Mets, Red Sox, and Phillies. That's going to be a bloodbath. Those are 4 teams that are just going to be throwing fuck you money around and just trying to compete against each other, let alone the rest of the league, but just against each other to win that division. Like, you're telling me that there's going to be 2 teams in that division that are going to miss the playoffs every year? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous, especially because of how they realign it. Certain teams are just always going to try to just go for it, right?
Yeah.
You don't see a team like the Yankees go, yeah, let's hit rebuild mode, guys. Let's hit the rebuild button. That's not a thing that happens. That just does not happen, right?
As a Blue Jays fan, I would love this because our division is the Twins, Tigers, and Brewers along with us, and it's like we are going to outspend them by so much. We might spend more than the other 3 teams combined.
Other than the fact that we have to go against the literal devil, I would actually kind of like it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, is it crazy to say that the Blue Jays could spend like that much more? Like, it's really not.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if it means that, if this is the division, you're not having to outspend the Yankees, you're not having to outspend even the Red Sox. You're having to outspend the Twins, Tigers, and Brewers, which is not really a hard thing to do.
Yeah. Now, I saw another tweet, and it raised an interesting question. Would you rather have 8 divisions of 4 teams or 4 divisions of 8 teams? Now, presumably,
like that's how the NHL does it right now.
Oh, that is how they do it?
Yeah, 4 divisions, 8 teams.
I honestly think I would like the 4 divisions thing better, but I think regardless of which way they went, assuming that they realigned divisions, I do think, now, unfortunately, this would kill a baseball tradition, but I think eventually we gotta cap division titles. Like, we gotta get rid of them eventually, right? Because, especially if you do the 8 divisions thing, like, that's just gonna be bad.
Yeah, could you imagine a 1-8 format, 1-8, 2-7, 3-6, 4-5, like we saw in the COVID season, but like full time in Major League Baseball?
Okay,
that would be interesting. Honestly.
Here's the other thing: I don't want the playoffs to be like half the team makes the playoffs.
Yeah.
I really do not want that. I don't want like
you gotta find a middle ground.
I don't want some mid team sneaking in as the 8 or 7 seed in this hypothetical. I actually think the way that they have it now, the amount of teams, the way it's structured, I maybe slightly restructure the buys and stuff, but other than that, I think it's almost perfect. I love it almost perfectly the way it is. I would what was I gonna say? Yeah, I think that this is like perfect because if you think to how it is right now, you can still get like a solid team that misses out, and obviously that sucks. But I just don't want to see like a mid-ass team making it as the 7-8 seed. I don't know how hockey's playoff format is, but like for example, basketball, a lot of the first round series are genuine slouch fest because it's not slouch fest, snooze fest because it's like I don't really care about this 1-8 matchup because 99 times out of 100, the 1 is just gonna steamroll the shit out of the 8 seed and may as well not be serious.
Yeah,
it doesn't happen all the time.
The NHL,
but most of the time.
The NHL does it a bit differently. They used to do the 1-8 format and they changed it. Now it's a controversial thing that people talk about. The way they do it is, it's the division winner, so it's the 2 division winners get the 1 seed. So it's kind of like broken up into 2 mini brackets, I guess, like on each side. Okay. So for example, let's say the Eastern Conference, the Atlantic winner would face, or not the Atlantic would face, but the Atlantic winner, let's say I'm using last year's standings, Toronto, they would face, since the other division winner, Washington, had more points, Washington would face the worst of the 2 wild cards, and then the other division winner would face the better of the 2, and then the 2 versus 3 in the division would face, and the 2 versus 3 in the other division would also face, and then the winners would face the division winner of their division in the next round. And there's obviously some controversy there because there's been times where if you look at it, like for example, the year before, it would be where like 2 teams that are top 5 or top 6 or whatever would face off in the first round because of how it worked, or stuff like that. And it's just, it sucks to have like guaranteed a top like 3 team in the league be out after the first round, almost, or after the second round, where it's like the 2 best in the conference aren't going to face off against each other because of how it works. And I don't think it's really that much of a problem. I don't think that that's not getting to that. But
Can you repeat
I
what
don't
you
know.
said?
I
It
mean,
just cut out for a sec. If you don't mind repeating.
oh, I was just saying we're not here to talk about the NHL. But the way it works is there's definitely some people who don't like it. A lot of people, I'd
Mm-hmm.
say I don't want to say the consensus, but the majority of people don't love it. So obviously, I don't think it would work for baseball the way that they do it. But like if they did it the way NHL does it, it's all about finding some common ground here because you're not going to be able to do something that gets everyone on board.
Mm-hmm.
There's not going to be one format of whether it's divisions or playoffs where everyone looks at it and says, "Oh my god, this is perfect."
Yeah.
There's obviously going to be some people that say, "Oh no, too many teams per division. Oh, too many divisions. I don't like how this team has to play this team." Whatever. People are going to complain. I think the way they do it now is fine. If they can keep this playoff format, even with new divisions, or at least very similar, maybe changing like a little thing or two without completely restructuring how it works, I think that, we're looking good for an expansion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, you're not going to make everyone happy. Like that's just
No.
simply going to be a thing. Um, whether it's this or a new rule change, some people are going to complain. Some people are going to love it. Sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do, right? Um, I think that I would probably end up liking the four divisions of 8 teams each because it allows less potential for like farming the shit out of the bad teams. You know what I mean? I think that
Yeah.
limits that. Not that it would like, not that it can't happen in that scenario too, or not that it's a guarantee to happen anyways, or not that it even currently doesn't already happen. But I think you limit it a little bit more if you go the 4 divisions of 8 teams each. Also, another thing is that from what I'm able to gather here, he Manfred was saying the AL and NL would be kind of split up, almost as like an East and West conference type of thing. I don't like that. I
Yeah.
actually really do not like the idea of that. To be totally honest with you, I think that the idea of like the winner of the East versus the winner of the West and like a final series or a World Series or whatever, right? I think that
Yeah.
that's kind of lame.
What
I
what I like about the current one is the fact that you have teams from the East and West that are both competing, and it doesn't matter if they're East or West. They're both in the American League. They're
mhm.
both in the National League, and the only other sport that has their playoffs like this is the NFL, or not necessarily playoffs, but their divisions and conferences like that is the NFL, where
Mhm.
each league, the AFC and the NFC, both have an East or West. Like they have the same geographical locations. It's just different conference, and I really like that for baseball.
Mhm.
And with what they've done the past couple of years with changing the schedule formats of your playing every team, I love that. I mean, it's awesome. I like when teams play every team. That's how it should be.
Mhm.
And obviously you can't do that for football, but I don't know. I just don't think baseball needs it where you have like an East Conference and a West Conference. I think the way they do it is fine, and I genuinely think that they're obviously going to be looking into that. Like they already probably have a general idea of what they're going to do, but because this isn't something that's just new that's sprung on this week.
Yeah,
This is something
obviously
that
not.
has been in talks for years.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I just think that keeping it the way it is, where it's not like a direct East and West, would be cool. Would be good. Like keeping it where it's, you know, the AL and the NL, and then you could be East or like that doesn't matter. There's divisions for that.
Mhm. Yeah, I just really don't want them to do a an East versus West thing. That's like the big one that I really do not want. I really hope they
Yeah.
don't do that. If I'm to pick one thing that it sounds like that was being talked about that I want them to not do, it's that. I do not want an East West thing. Please
Yeah.
don't do that. I think that would be really I think it would be really lame. Also, respectfully, you have so many teams on the east side, anyways, and very few on the west coast or just the west half in general.
Yeah.
That no matter what you do, you're going to have really weird, like, alignments. Like for example, in the NBA, everyone's like, "Why are Memphis or New Orleans or
Yeah,
whatever
that's the thing.
geographically like so east?"
Like that's one of the problems with the NFL one. Like obviously it doesn't matter, but like for example, Kansas City is in the West. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't know about all that.
Like that's the thing. Denver's also in the West, which makes way more sense. But even then, you could argue like, are they really considered West or more Midwest?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, that's one of those things.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. It's just definitely would be interesting, but I just think that there's way more. There's too many teams in Central and on the East side to kind of warrant breaking into an East and a West, which is why I love what they do with East, West, Central. Like I love how they break it up into that. And obviously, there's a way to break it up where you're doing it without just a direct East and West, where you keep the West teams, you separate them to each league, so there's West in both. I like that a lot more.
Yeah.
And also, when you're thinking of the time zones and when you're watching games, I think it's good too, because if you're just having a team like the whole division on the West, then you're having it where every single game they play is basically like the majority of their games are 3 hours ahead, or 3 hours
Mm-hmm.
yeah, ahead. So it's kind of like for times and scheduling, I think it would also make sense to keep them apart, because then you have a more of a mixture of you're playing West games, but you're also playing Central. You're playing West, but you're also playing East. You're kind of getting, it's not just every game you're either playing 10 Eastern or 7 Eastern, and there's no in between.
Yeah. Yeah. That's another thing. According to Bob Nightingale, he was saying that apparently MLB believes that like the two best markets if they were to do expansion are Salt Lake City and Nashville. Do you have any objections to that? Is there a different team that you'd really, or is there a different city you'd really love to see get a team, or are you like, yeah, you know what, that sounds right about right?
I mean, I think that's fine. I do think that I don't know. Montreal could be an interesting one for sure. That's one that people have talked about to bring the Expos back, and we had that whole conversation about the potential deal when the Rays were trying to move out of Tropicana, and they were going
Yeah.
to split their games between Montreal and Tampa Bay,
Mm-hmm.
and that's another one. And honestly, I saw Portland as a name thrown around. I think by Manfred.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely some cities that could deserve it. I don't think the list is really, pages long. I think that there's, you can make a short list of like 5 cities.
Yo, if they're
But let's say it's Charlotte and Nashville. I don't see anything wrong with that. I think that's perfectly fine.
Yo, if they're really locked in, I got one. I got a goat one. All right, you ready for this?
Yup.
Oakland. If they're really
Yo,
locked
no
in,
way.
if they're really locked in, no, give those boys their team back, man. Give them a new team, free them from the clutches of
Oh, you know who should get a team?
Who?
Vegas.
Fuck you.
Oh, honestly, Sacramento could get one too. Now that I think about it,
Hey man, I don't know about that.
but but no. In all seriousness, if Nashville and Charlotte or just North Carolina in general, because I'm pretty sure you could do it in Raleigh too, wherever you decide to build the stadium, I think those would be fine. And then other ones that I'd be okay with are like Portland, Montreal, and honestly, I don't know. I think that Salt Lake City's an interesting one. I've seen people say that they just got a hockey team. It's kind of more of a booming, city. We're seeing more things happen there. So if they want a team on the West, that's definitely somewhere. If they don't want to go to Portland, they can look into.
Yeah, they're really starting to lock in over there in Utah because for a while it was like just the Jazz, right? For
Yeah,
like
now they
ever.
just got a hockey. Now they just got an NHL team. I mean, yeah.
Utah sports might be up. Salt Lake City fans tap in. No, that might be locked in. I know they probably wouldn't if they did expansion, but I would just be so happy if Oakland got a team back. That would make me so happy.
Unfortunately, that's not something that's gonna happen.
I know, but they should do. They
I
should
know.
lock in. Listen, some billionaires. If you're a billionaire, listen to this. Lock in. Lock the fuck
Yeah.
in for me.
We could get really funky here. Bring a team to like Hawaii.
Woo! Hassan Whiteside, my boy. Lost the election. I'm going to Hawaii now. Man,
I don't know if you've seen Hawaii's baseball stadium,
I have not.
but it's just like obviously that's not in like it's not the greatest view, but it's still nice because it is Hawaii at the end of the day. If you could build a stadium that kind of has the one thing is I don't think they're going to be able to get the attendance. That's the issue.
Mhm.
But I'm thinking like could you imagine like a PNC Park-esque view, like with the
Oh
water
my god.
and with the scenery mixed with like maybe like the atmosphere of like Colorado with that feel to it. Like
Ooh.
something you got something there. But
Imagine you're going
again,
on a summer trip to Hawaii and you're like, yo, let's go catch whoever's on the road. Man, the Dodgers are on the
yeah,
road, the Cubs are on
the
the
only
road.
problem, yeah, the only problem is I don't know how the attendance would look, but that would just be fun, like to see. And then you also the time zone aspect, the fact that it's 5 hours behind Eastern is also a unfortunate
Oh,
predicament.
they're
But
that far
that's
back?
just
I didn't realize it was that far back. Oh my
yeah,
god.
that's just me throwing out something completely off the board that would just be like, what the hell, sure, why not, type of thing.
Yeah, why the hell not? I see whenever Nick goes on out of the park and he does expansion ones, he I swear to God he always chooses Albuquerque, which is
Yeah,
like
because
kind of.
we know why he
Well,
chooses
we know
Albuquerque,
why.
yeah.
Well, we know. Yeah, you're right. I'm not gonna. I wasn't even thinking about that when I said it out loud. But now you say it. Nah, no, we get it.
He's a big Breaking Bad guy,
Yeah,
so
I think he
that's
might be the actual. I think he's like Holly because he's really short. Um.
mm, yeah.
Anyways. Another thing, kind of wanted to check in on, is that so we're a few weeks past the deadline. We're like 3 weeks past. Um. I want to see, and we want to kind of have a look at how is everyone doing since then. And we want to kind of check in on some of the top names that got traded at the deadline and see, how is everyone doing? You know what I mean? Because there are some guys who have been absolutely killing, and there have been some guys who have not really been killing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Really, really big one that I want to look at is our boy Gino Suarez. That man has been on. I don't know if I'd call it a heater because it's kind of the opposite. What's the opposite of a heater? What would you call that? Like this guy's been frozen.
He's on a cooler. I don't know.
He's on a cooler right now. This guy's a 572 OPS in August, and obviously hitters do slumps all the time, like it happens. But man, that's a rough one. 60 WRC plus is not that fun. That's his WRC plus in the month of August. It's not going too great for him. I can't lie.
No.
Some other ones, obviously.
Well, I just want to look at the same team there for a sec. Josh Naylor's a fun one because, as everyone knows, he's not a fast guy. He's the third percentile in sprint speed at 24 and a half. And yet, within his time in Seattle so far, in only about 20 games or so, he's stolen 11 bases.
Listen, he's just locked in like that. I don't know. They're feeding him.
It's just that, yeah.
They got him on something different down there. Like
yeah, I don't know. It's something in the.
I didn't realize it was.
Maybe.
I didn't realize it was that high. Which, for reference, that's
a career high right there.
Yeah, that for reference, 11 and 11. That's his Arizona stolen base total and his Seattle stolen base total. He did it in Arizona in 93 games. In Seattle in 23.
And the 11 in each is most in a season he's ever had because his career high was 10 back in 23 with Cleveland.
Yes.
And he's done 11 twice this year.
Yeah. And also a thing is that with Seattle, he has not been caught stealing once. He has 11 stolen bases with a 100% success rate in terms of stealing bases, which good for him, man. Good for Josh Naylor, man. Good for him. Another thing with him though is he's actually been swinging it okay since the deadline. He has a 114 WRC plus in August. That's slightly down from what it was before, but he's still swinging it pretty well. He's hitting for a lot more power. Actually, he's not getting on base quite as much, but his ISO in August is 224. Before that, his highest in a single month, March and April combined, was 182. So that's about a 40-point jump from there. In July, he was hitting at an 085 ISO. June, it was 176. May was 156. So he's hitting for a lot more power now that he is in Seattle. He's this is gonna sound crazy, but his highest home runs in a month this season is 4. That was in March and April. He's already at 3. He actually might pass that. which, to be honest, I mean, 5 home runs in a month isn't anything crazy, but I think that kind of speaks to just how much more of a power hitter he's become in Seattle, which is kind of a weird development, to be honest with you. But I mean, hey, he's still overall swinging it well, so I mean, shit, good for him, I guess. Good for him. There have been some interesting moments since the deadline with some of the acquisitions. This one,
everyone remembers that one Yankees game right after the deadline where every single one of the players they acquired kind of played a role in blowing a game against the Marlins.
Yeah, they combined for 9 runs given up. I think it was Bednard. It was Bednard, Duvall, and Bird, right? Yeah. It was those 3.
Yeah, and I mean, Bednar's definitely settled in now. He is looking much better. Mm-hmm. He is looking like the guy that they traded for. Duvall, not so much, and Bird, it's to the point where I'm pretty sure he's in the minor leagues right now, right? So
another guy that I want to look at actually is from that same team is Ryan McMahon. Now, I don't remember what I graded this trade when we did like the whole rating thing. It was a trade that when it first went down, I really didn't like it for the Yankees, and then it has slowly been growing on me ever since.
I mean, he's been good for a little bit.
One thing that I mentioned was that he had pretty good, like, batted ball data there. And it's kind of been translating a little bit over in New York. He has a 101 WRC plus in with the Yankees. Now he hasn't really been, like, hitting the ball quite as well. Like, his slugging percentage is down, like, 60 points. But he's getting on base a lot more. We've knew that Ryan McMahon walks a good amount. That's a really good trait of his, and he hits the ball really hard. That's a really good combination to have, even if he whiffs a lot. And it's kind of been translating to some pretty solid results. His OPS is a little bit lower, but also you have to keep in mind he isn't playing the home games, of course. Now, he's also not getting the nerf that you would get when you're playing half your games at Coors, when you go on the road and all the pitches are moving different and this and that. But overall, it's been pretty much like he's been like more or less like a league average hitter, which a 101 WRC plus would be his highest in a season. His previous career high is 97. That was in 2022. So yeah, 101 would be a career high for him if you extrapolate it over a full season. You obviously factor that in with the fact that he's a really good defensive player, and it's overall a really positive thing for them. So, hey man, shout out Ryan McMahon. He's getting his. But listen, you talked about those 9 runs that those pitchers gave up. You want to know what pissed me off so much about that? Was I saw everyone tweeting about it, and then the very next night, fucking, I think it was, I can't remember exactly what it was. I'm pretty sure it was Louis Varland and Seranthony Dominguez both gave up like a good amount of runs to the Royals, and I was like, man, y'all can't be tweeting about this and then letting it happen to our team. I'm like, y'all spoke this into existence. Y'all jinxed us, man.
Yeah, I remember I was talking with someone in a Discord. They said something about, they were talking about Helsley throwing, and I said, wow, Louis Varland would never. And then a half hour later, he gave a home run to the Rangers that put us down by 3 again. But we ended up winning.
So that's your fault, is what you're saying.
It's my fault, yes, that is.
That is your fault.
But another player, same position as Ryan McMahon, and this is a guy that we talked about to the Yankees, Brian Hayes. He's been unbelievable for Cincy.
Man, I was watching the game the other day. Did you see the one highlight where it got hit off the pitcher's foot and he still managed to make the throw over? I don't know who else is anyone else in the league actually making that play. I don't really think so, man. But
currently, no. I mean, you could say obviously Arenado maybe a couple of years ago, but. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's right now. You can definitely count on one hand the amount of guys making that play.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you just mentioned Brian Hayes and how hot he's been. One of the things that we were talking about, like around the deadline, like surrounding Hayes before and even after he got moved, was like, if you take Brian Hayes and let's say you make him a 75-80 WRC plus bat, that is still 20 to 25% worse than league average, which is still really bad. He's still a really valuable
like a 2.5 win player
just because minimum. Of his defense. He has a 110 WRC plus in August. Like,
He has a 114 with Cincy. That is really good.
He's been really good.
He's not just hitting at a serviceable rate. He's hitting at an above average, a good rate right now.
Yeah.
And if he keeps this up, if he plays at this pace, like throughout an entire season, which I'm not saying he just will, you're looking at a easy 4.5 win player right there.
So I'm gonna do the math right here. He's already accumulated 0.5 F WAR for Cincinnati over 65 plate appearances. If you take that per 650, that's a 5 WAR pace. Like he's actually playing so good for Cincinnati. Now, obviously,
what a trade that's been so far.
Obviously, it's only 65 plate appearances, so I'm not going to come out here and say that Brian Hayes is going to win the Silver Slugger next year. I'm not going to say that because it's 65 plate appearances, and we see like this happen all the time. Do you remember when Eric Thames was the unanimous MVP after a month, and then he was just ass the rest of the season? Do we remember that?
That insanity run, yeah.
We see insanity runs all that. You remember the Didi Gregorius one where he was just ridiculous? Like OPS over 1,000 by the end of April, and then tapered off. We see these things happen all the time, right? We see stuff like this all the time. So, like, just because of, I'm not gonna say that. Oh, you gotta really watch out for this guy because he's having a really good 20 games. Like this happens a lot. Could it be a positive development? It very well could be, but it's gonna be like a time will tell sort of thing. But it's definitely been a really positive thing for the Reds that you traded for a guy who seemingly, obviously, is one of the best defensive players in all of baseball. But like an underwater bat, like a legitimate black hole in your lineup, and he's been like a legitimate, pretty significantly above, not significantly above average, but like pretty comfortably above average offensive contributor.
Yes.
That is massive, right?
Yeah. Also, another player I want to talk about quickly before I guess we move on to whoever else you want to talk about in this is also a guy who's been playing third base. And a guy who I would say has started drinking from the fountain of youth, if you will, Carlos Correa.
Yeah, man,
he's turned back the clock,
dude. I saw that within like the first week after he had like an OPS of well over 1,000. I don't know what it's
Right now he's sitting at a WRC plus with Houston on the year at 143, which comes out to an OPS of 859.
He has an OBP of almost 400 since joining the Astros again.
He has almost matched his WAR total from the rest of the year with Minnesota, and obviously very early again. This is 17 games, 72 plate appearances, same thing as Brian Hayes, but this mark of 143 would be the highest that he's had in his career since 2017 in seasons in which he's played at least 100 games in.
Yeah.
So obviously, again, 100 games, 17 games is a bit of a difference there, but just to show at the level he's playing at.
Yeah, no, he's been absolutely ridiculous, and per 650 plate appearance, he's playing at a 6.3 WAR pace with the Astros, which is like MVP conversations. You're in probably you're on ballots. You're getting like
which is exactly what he put up in 2021.
Exactly,
so.
Like he was.
And if you told any Astros fan, hey, you're getting 2021 Carlos Correa back, I think they'd all like just look at you like, huh?
I'd be ecstatic. I'd be like, shit, all right, sing bet, let's ride. Another interesting one is okay, this doesn't count as a deadline move, but a certain someone has come back from a suspension, and he's actually been like ridiculous the past couple of weeks, like in August, and Jerkson Profar. Man, I drafted him in fantasy too, and then he got suspended. I was so mad.
I remember I wanted the Jays to get him.
I wanted Jays to get him because I was like, shit, those are some elite tools right there. He has a 180 WRC plus in August.
It's it's one of those things where it's like, even if he isn't what he was last year, being that 139 WRC plus bat, he's still like, if he reverted kind of back to what he was in his first stint in San Diego, you still would have been happy with a guy who's hovering around a 110 WRC plus. That would have been good enough to give him a solid contract, let alone the fact that he played at the best baseball of his career the year prior. Obviously unfortunate with the PEDs, but Luckily for Atlanta, they're not gonna have to. It's not like he's gonna miss any playoff games for them. So.
Yeah. They're not gonna have to worry about all that. Another one who's been really good since the deadline. Guess Ramon Laureano's WRC plus since
Oh my
August
God,
1st.
I don't even want to at this point. I mean, I wish the Jays got him. That's for
Man,
sure.
we were talking about it on the.
It's definitely like what it's definitely like. I mean, what was it with Baltimore? It was like near 150 with Baltimore, wasn't it?
His WRC plus. Oh wait, hold on. I split the leaderboards. So with Baltimore, it was 144, right?
Yeah.
With San Diego, it is 174.
Yeah, I mean San Diego definitely did well in this deadline.
Yeah, and like we knew that Ramon Laureano's like that. We talked about around then like how no matter where he went, he's gonna be great. He's making himself some money in the off season. Actually, sorry, never mind. He has a club option for $4 million, so they're picking that up. So
I think they're gonna take that.
I would too. 174 numbers feels bad for $4 million. Shit, I'll take that. He already has a 3 war. He's probably gonna finish like around 4 war, something like that. 3.5, 4 war.
And look at Ryan O'Hearn in that same trade. He's a 147 WRC plus with the Padres.
Yeah, they've been making out quite good, man. They've been making out quite good.
And now as we're getting to the later part of the season, and every win means just so much more. Having guys like that have just been stepping up with the bat and helping this team is just going to help, especially because they're not looking at a wild card spot right now.
Exactly.
Like
they're getting back to the division right now. They're trying to snatch the.
They're not. Yeah.
They're trying to snatch the Dodgers chain. They're trying to snatch the Dodgers chain right now. They're trying to snatch that chain.
Yeah. And the Dodgers have been faltering a bit. I mean, recently they've gotten a little bit more on track, but they've definitely been falling, and the Padres are on the rise, and they've got a huge, huge series coming up against each other this weekend, which my eyes are gonna be glued to the TV all weekend. I'll say that.
Yeah, man. They've been faltering a little bit. No Bailey, but
I'd say that's a bar.
That is a bar. Thank you. I worked really hard on that, as in I came up with it as I talked about it. A really under the radar guy who's been pretty good since he got traded. This was such a low level trade that I don't even think we talked about it. It was Adam Frazier going to the Royals, and he had an 82 WRC plus when he got traded. He's hitting over 300. He's hitting 300 at the Royals since getting moved.
Yeah.
And we talked when we were talking about who's the team that's gonna do the Cinderella run thing, right? And we talked about in terms of getting in when you're not really expected to, and we talked about how the Royals are probably that team at least in the AL. This is gonna help, right? You go in, you get a guy, and you pretty much just add straight up a player on your roster who's putting up 110 WRC plus. It's 108, but we'll just round to 110. We'll be nice to him. But that's something that's gonna help quite a bit, right?
Yeah, and not just that. I mean, the Royals also got Yastrzemski, who was a 140 WRC plus with them, and he's been absolutely, raking.
Yeah, man, it's been one of the reasons why the Royals have really got themselves back into a playoff race. They're 8-2 over their last 10. They're only 2 games back of the Mariners right now. 2.5 back of the Red Sox and 4 back of the Yankees.
And the Mariners and Red Sox are slipping right now. These aren't teams that have been, obviously the Red Sox were red hot. Obviously the Mariners have been, around the spot where they've been all year. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, the Royals are just winning games and the other teams ahead of them aren't. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we could see the Royals get into a wild card spot before September even comes.
Exactly. There's a chance it happens. The Red Sox and the Mariners have lost 3 and 5 consecutive, respectively, and each have lost 7 of their last 10, which is not too great. Obviously, we've also seen the Red Sox catch some ridiculous hot streaks, and I would not be surprised if either one of these teams hits that again, especially if some guys on Seattle just turn it around. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Geno tear in September, right? That was the guy who I remember looking around the deadline, and I'm pretty sure his splits were actually a lot better in T-Mobile when he was a Mariner, if I remember that correctly. But shit, man, that's gonna be an interesting one to watch. And honestly, shout out to the Royals for getting back into the playoff race. I actually kind of like it, because again, I never really thought that they were in a position to really go and buy.
Hey, as long as they don't beat us in the ALCS, I'm fine.
Listen, I don't need to think about that. right now. And if that does happen, then listen, that the Amish guy, you like.
And look, I'll say this: if the Royals beat us in the ALCS again, then down the line podcast will be held by two completely new people.
Yeah, I don't know. You might not be hearing from us again. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I'll be starting a podcast on like sewing or something.
On like sewing, yeah, man. I'll be I don't know. I'll become a full-time vigilante in Toronto. I got the
Oh no!
Shit, I got the web shooters coming in the mail today. I got that ready. Originally it was gonna be for Fan Expo. Nah, I'm about to lay the hands on someone if the Royals get us again, bro. I'm about to give someone the hands, man. Yeah, I don't really. Unless there's anyone else you want to highlight. There isn't anyone else that kind of jumps out to me that I really like want to highlight per se, or that I think of. If there's anyone else that you really think, oh fuck, I want to talk about this guy. What do you think? Or do we want to move on?
Off the top of my head, no, not really.
All right. So in that case, we are going to move on to the next little segment here. So we're gonna go through some award races right now, right? Obviously, award race talk happens pretty much like the entire year. It especially heats up around now because this is when you really see guys, like these are the guys that are probably going to be on the finalists or whatever, right? You see some talk and stuff in like June and July and stuff and even like end of May. Sometimes those guys that might be the front runner then kind of fall out or challenge the guy who is the front runner. Sometimes those guys fall out. I don't know if you remember the year that Acuna won MVP. Overall, it was like Acuna Betts, and near the end of the year, those two kind of like went back and forth and stuff. But like earlier in the year, there was some Corbin Carroll talk, and then he kind of fell out of it, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna go through some of the awards, and we're gonna go through who we think each of the front runners are. And then we're gonna play a little game after. Obviously, I told you what it is, but I'll explain it after.
For the sake of this, I'll pretend I don't know what this game is. Oh, I'm so excited to find out what we're doing next.
Yeah, welcome. Yes, game. Very mysterious.
I'm excited.
So one of the interesting ones is the AL MVP one, the Judge Raleigh thing. So Judge has, he hasn't been hitting at a 200 WRC plus pace anymore. His WRC plus is actually finally below 200. It's at 199. Tragic, right? He sucks now. He's sub 200 WRC plus. I mean, like, what the hell are we gonna do? I don't even know if I can say he's like been like he's hitting at a 143 WRC plus in August, which like has actually brought his WRC plus down a lot, which is crazy because this is still like all-star level hitting, like borderline Silver Slugger level hitting, and it's tanked his WRC plus, which is crazy to say.
Yeah, that just shows how good of a season.
Yeah. So really, the AL MVP right now, it's between him and Kyle Raleigh, and so we've seen some people say, well, Kyle Raleigh, he's almost at 50 home runs. He's gonna get close to 60 by the end of the year. He's playing catcher. He has a 160 WRC plus, this and that. At the same time, Judge beats him in overall value. That also includes the fact that Judge has about 10 less games played because he missed a very short amount of time. He missed like 10. He was on the 10-day with an injury. I can't remember what the injury was, but it was something that kept him out for basically the minimum. So obviously that hurt his volume a little bit, but even with the lesser volume, albeit like it's like 40 plate appearances difference, like by the end of the year, it's not really going to mean anything. Or sorry, it's not even 40. It's like 35. Judge still leads him in WAR. Also leads him in WRC plus by almost 40. Also respectfully, almost every single rate stat favors Judge. I will be totally honest. I still, as of right now, as of August 21st, this is not me trying to foresee any hot streaks or slumps that happen in September. Currently, if it ended right now, I don't think it's a contest. I think Judge should run away with it. If it ended right now, with all due respect to Kyle Raleigh, this is one of the best catcher seasons we have seen ever. Let's make that perfectly clear. you are not seeing catchers just go out and hit 50 home runs like it's nothing, right? And this guy might hit it by the end of August, which is ridiculous, right? With that being said, I don't think that we need to do the whole while he's playing catcher thing. Yes, that is accounted for when you look at something like his F-WAR, or just his WAR in general. His playing a very valuable position, and being a positive on the defensive end. He's 89th percentile in framing. That is accounted for also, when you look at something like WAR.
That kind of brings me. I'm sorry for getting off track here, but that kind of brings me to something that I saw someone talk about, and it's really interesting. So the majority of Kyle Raleigh's, defensive WAR value comes from his, framing ability.
Mm-hmm.
Once automatic balls and strikes come into play, how much do you think his defense will be affected by that?
So
because if once framing is, I don't want to say eliminated, but basically eliminated, is he still going to be like, if he was having this season his WAR, he wouldn't be a 7 WAR player, that's for sure.
So I think what it comes down to, I don't know about Raleigh specifically. I'm just going to go into framing in general. I don't really think that framing is going to be nearly as cooked as some people think it will be, because
you only get a certain amount of challenges. So obviously after that you're kind of on your own. But...
Obviously, I'm pretty sure the way it would probably work is, I can't remember what the rules would be. Would it be like the regular challenges you get 1 or 2 depending on what it is?
No, I think it's separate. I think you get 2 per game, but if you win it, you keep it.
No, that's what I mean. Like, it operates the same. I don't think I'm not saying it operates like you get the challenges all together, but
it's a separate. Yeah, it's a separate.
It operates under the same rules, right?
Yes.
That's what okay, yeah, that's what I was getting at. Obviously, let's say it's a little bit outside and he frames it, and then they challenge it, they win it, right? You are not going to do that every single time. And you also have to account a little bit for the fact that some of those challenges are going to be lost because of simply the batter just didn't
misjudged it. Yeah,
they misjudged it, or whoever pitcher, catcher, whoever.
Now that I really think about it, it makes sense, because it's not like it's like every single pitch, but it is interesting to think, like, let's say it was every pitch, like there was no more human umpires, was all done automatically, then you would
that would be a different story. That would be different. But I don't really think that framing is going to be nearly, obviously there's going to be it's not going to be as much of a thing, because like some of those pitches that get framed for a strike are now going to be overturned and challenged. Or maybe the umpires are just going to be a little bit more locked in because they don't want whatever, right? Something, right? There's going to be less pitches that end up getting successfully framed, whether it's because it gets challenged or whatever, right? But I don't think it's going to be so many that it like pretty much takes off a player's value if they were like really good at framing, right? Like, I don't think you would see Kyle Raleigh's value, like defensive value, deplete. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Or anyone else who is like who gets a lot of defensive value from framing. I don't really think you would see it that much. You would see probably some drop in value, but I don't really think it would be that significant. Maybe like a couple points in WAR, but I don't think it would be much more than that. If I'm being really bold, maybe a 0.5 drop in WAR, but I really don't even think it would be that much. Like, maybe over the span of a year, like a 0.2, 0.3 drop, if I'm guessing right now. Obviously, we'll get an idea once we actually get the system, but if I had to project right now, I don't really think it would affect a catcher's value that much, to be totally honest. But yeah, even so, with the Judge Raleigh thing specifically, like, Judge leads him, he clears him in pretty much every rate stat. Like, his slugging percent, Kyle Raleigh leads the league in homers by a good bit. Sorry, not by a good bit, because Schwarber is close with him, but he leads the AL in homers, right?
Yes.
Judge's slugging percentage is still 100 points higher, or almost 100 points higher. His on-base percentage is 90 points higher. His OPS, I actually don't have the OPS in front of me, but it's way higher. His WRC plus is 40 points higher. His WOBA is like 70 points higher almost. Like, he's got him in like every single rate stat, And even overall in something like WAR, which is like something you accumulate, even with less volume, he still leads him in that by about half a win. So
Yeah.
if AL MVP like ended right now, I would not even have to think twice about it being judged. To be totally honest, and with all due respect to Kyle Raleigh, I would not think twice right now that it's judged by like a
Yeah,
still a
I
comfortable
agree.
margin. I think he would have to go on quite the slump in September, and Raleigh would still have to keep mashing. I think it would have to be both those things have to happen
Yeah.
in order for him to like actually catch him in what is it, MVP. So
Yeah, I agree.
the other one over here, the NL MVP, you have Shohei Ohtani. He is the NL leader in WAR. For a while, PCA was in that conversation. I think he's kind of falling out of that conversation now because he just he presumably just forgot how to hit the baseball or something. He's really falling out of that conversation. I think honestly, if you asked me a month ago, I might have had PCA as my MVP, but he's really taken himself out of the convo.
Yeah, I mean, he's been not great since the break, and another thing is just the fact that he doesn't walk and strikes out at such a high rate. His on-base percentage is actually sub 300, which is bottom 20 in baseball among qualified hitters. And the fact that he still has a 123 WRC plus and is still a near 6 WAR player with a sub 300 OBP just shows how good of a player he is.
But I do think on one hand, because of PCA doesn't have the greatest swing decisions. He's second percentile in chase rate. So that kind of player is going to be a little more susceptible to a longer term slump like he's currently in right now. Especially for someone who doesn't like mash the shit out of the ball. Like his exit velo's in the 44th percentile. He also granted pulls the shit out of the ball, so it hasn't mattered as much this year. But that's kind of the reason I think that you're really seeing him in this kind of prolonged slump is because he swings a lot, and he swings at a lot of bad pitches. He also has 18th percentile in whiff rate, which is not going to help. I think if he even was in, let's say, 25th percentile chase rate, I don't think the slump would be nearly this bad. Like, it's been like almost unwatchable.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, and hopefully he's still young, and that's something that improves with age and experience. But that's the thing. Just with how good he is of a defender and how fast he is and good of a base runner he is, even if he's not, getting the hits, he's still just is such a valuable player to a team.
Oh, exactly. Like and
he's always going to be. And I think throughout his career, he's going to be. I don't know if he's going to be like a front runner, but he's definitely going to be in MVP talks.
Absolutely, he's going to be like. I think legitimately, like his floor right now is like a 4.5 win player, like straight up. I think even if he hits at a 105 WRC plus, he's still going to be a legitimately ridiculously valuable player because he is one of the best defensive players in all of baseball at a premium position, mind you, in center field, which is one of the most valuable defensive positions in the sport, alongside shortstop and catcher. Those are like the top three. He's a 20 DRS, 19 OAA player there. And then also, like you said, he is a really, really good base runner. He's got a 5.7 BSR, and according to StatCast, his base running value is in the 95th percentile. So, again, even if he's not hitting, he can still provide value. But obviously, you would like the bat to come back, and I'm sure to some extent it will because his batted ball data, like distribution, is still pretty good. That even if he's not hitting the ball super, super hard, he's kind of able to outperform those, like, expected stats. Like, that's a big part of the reason why he was so good and he was hitting for so much power at the start of the year was because he pulled the shit out of the ball. Like, almost 30% of his batted balls were in the air to the pull side.
For sure. I mean, I'm looking now, and even in the minor leagues, this is something that he stayed consistent with. AAA in 2024, he had a pull air percentage of 29.5. Like, that's just unbelievable.
That's beautiful. That's enough to make
that's what you want to see.
That's enough to make a grown man cry right there.
honestly, I'm going to tie this in with the first thing we talked about today. This is where player development comes into play.
Yup.
Because you help these guys reach into that potential. Because you see something there. The ability to pull the ball. His pull percentage in AAA in 2023, he had a pull air percentage of 11.7. Clearly in the year, they were working it out, and obviously, looking into different things and how we can improve. He jumped in 1 year in the minor leagues from 11.7 to 29.5. So clearly they're working on getting to pull the ball, and it's no secret why he was able to tap into his power and have 27 home runs. I'll admit that I don't think anyone expected him to have 27 home runs throughout the whole year, let alone at this point in the season.
Oh yeah.
But it just goes to show that if you have guys looking at it, guys working with you, and you can find the root of your swing and say, all right, what you want to do is you want to be able to pull the ball. You want to be able to kind of get your swing to the point where you're putting the ball in the air, you're going to become a power hitter, like be able to hit for power. And that's when the on base percentage doesn't really, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but you can get away with it because he's a guy that's just going to swing away regardless. That's not something that's going to go away.
Exactly.
Obviously, he can improve that, maybe get his on base to like 310, 315 at some point, in the next couple of years. But it's not something that you're just going to expect him to automatically have like a 350 on base. And just being able to improve that by any amounts takes an elite player and makes him even more elite.
Oh, absolutely. And I think as he gains experience in the big leagues, you're going to see some of these kinks kind of get ironed out a little bit. Hopefully, he improves some of his swing decisions a little bit. Maybe starts to chase a little bit less. I'm not saying he's ever going to become Juan Soto in terms of his plate discipline or Joey Votto. He doesn't need to be that either. But if he can improve it, to a point where you're not quite as susceptible to a slump like this, that's going to be massive. That's going to be massive for him. It's going to be massive for the Cubs. But yeah, I think overall for the NL MVP, though, I do think this is another one where right now I think it's kind of cut right now. You know what I mean? It's Ohtani. Yeah. There are other guys who, are in the conversation, quote unquote, but like it's Ohtani. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
It's like, what was I going to say? It's like when, it's like all those years where like, LeBron was like just the best player in basketball by like a wild margin, and but like the second best player is technically in the conversation. Like he's there, but it's
they're in the conversation because you have to have a conversation.
You
not
do
because they're gonna win it.
I do, and with all due respect, that makes it sound like I'm shitting on guys like a guy like Trey Turner. Trey Turner almost has a 6 WAR, but Ohtani again, it's like the judge thing. He kills him in every single rate stat. Like his WRC plus is 50 points higher. Slugging percentage is like 175 points higher. On base percentage is almost 40 points higher. Like he's kind of got it right. The big thing that Trey Turner would have over him is base running, but I am sorry, base running is not going to be my decider in MVP voting. He does play a premium position, but he
I'll say this: I don't think he's the MVP. But since the whole point of this little game that we're doing is obviously we had to. I'm now now I'm aware of the game. I'm flip flopping right now. I'm aware of our game. Obviously you had like the couple randomly generated players that we're gonna go through, but like I know this isn't a guy on the list, but again, obviously not as good of a year as Kyle Raleigh. I feel like Will Smith deserves some recognition. Same team as Ohtani. He has a WRC plus that was higher than Cal Raleigh up until like last week or so. And he is putting up insane numbers. And obviously his defense isn't at the same level, but from an offensive standpoint, he is doing some unbelievable things.
True. He's a top 5 hitter in the NL right now. He's ranks 4th.
The second highest on base percentage in baseball.
His WRC plus currently ranks 4th in the NL, 1 point behind third place Ketel Marte, 3 points behind the second place Kyle Schwarber. So yeah, you're right. Will Smith, I think, is definitely someone that could deserve a little bit of recognition. But I think overall for this one, I think it's kind of right now so far at least. I think it's Ohtani.
Yes.
It
is.
And I feel pretty comfortable saying that it's Ohtani as well. Do we want to talk about NL Cy Young, or do we just want to say it's Paul Skeens and move on?
I mean, I obviously think it is Paul Skeens, but there are a couple names that are included in our little list randomly that I would actually not mind talking
Oh yeah,
about.
actually, yeah. Well, you know what? You're right. Now look at the list
Zach
again.
Wheeler
Yeah,
and Matthew Boyd.
yeah, you're right. I didn't realize they were both on the thing there.
So obviously Wheeler with the blood clots, it's unfortunate, and I want to say that's going to take him out of it. Not saying that he was going to win, but it just sucks because he's had such a good career and he's probably going to retire without a Cy Young. But that's not to say that he should get a pity one. He has been unbelievable this year.
Yeah, we don't need to hear brother damn Cy Young. You know what I mean?
Nah. But yeah, and then obviously Boyd having a career year.
Hey, shout out to Matthew Boyd, man. Blue Jays legend. Shout out to him, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to the man. Also, some other names that deserve to get a little bit of recognition for how good they've been. Andrew Abbott, Christopher Sanchez. Shout out to them, man.
Oh, 100%.
They have
Christopher
both
Sanchez,
been ridiculous,
unbelievable.
man. They've both been really fucking good.
And Hunter Brown for the. I know it's AL, and I know we're talking about NL now, but Hunter Brown is just. That's who I want to talk about for
Hunter Brown, I think, early
AL.
season had it locked down, but I mean, obviously, some
did,
guys have jumped him.
But he is still.
Oh, yeah.
He is still. Yeah, and because obviously we kind of just had our Cy Youngs mixed in with the AL and the NL there, which is why I bring him up, not because. Yeah, but yeah, because AL, I think it's safe to say it's going to be Skubal.
Yeah,
I think that's safe with a guy like Crochet probably being number 2, and then Brown.
I don't know if I'd say that Skubal is like clear cut right now. If I was to submit a vote right now, it would be Skubal, and I would probably pretty comfortably lean on that side. But it's kind of close between him and Crochet. Like, the big thing with him is, okay, number one, their ERAs aren't very that far apart. They're like 0.1 off. It's 232 to 243. That isn't that very much big of a difference. What I think really separates Skubal is literally just the peripherals. Like, I'm not someone who's going to look at peripherals all the time to determine Cy Young voting, but when an ERA or something like that is that close, I'll go to it as like a kind of tiebreaker sort of thing, and Skubal's peripherals kill him.
And also the fact that Skubal walks one less batter a game on average
that's what
for 9 innings. And it's just, like, that's a number that sticks out a lot. What I love about Skubal is just his fuck you mentality on the mound. He just wants to blow one right by you. He's going to sort of throw it in the zone and make you hit it. I love it. That's that old school, like, Nolan Ryan kind of Randy Johnson mindset right there.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And like you said, shout out Hunter Brown, man. He is he's second in the AL in ERA among all qualified pitchers. He's another guy that's going to be in that conversation too. Shout out to him, man. He's really got it. He's really got it. So shout out to him. I think early season, over the first like month, maybe month and a half, 2 months, he was kind of the front runner, I think, but it's kind of gotten taken back by Skubal. Also, another guy who I don't think he would finish like top 3 in the Cy Young winner or anything. I'm so happy to see Jacob deGrom like healthy, pitching really well.
Oh yeah.
Right now, that makes me so happy.
How about Evaldi?
Evaldi. Okay.
I don't think he's gonna win, but I'm saying about his season.
So, I'll be totally honest with you. When I said I would very comfortably vote Skubal and really not think twice about it, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of forgot about Evaldi because I had this conversation a few weeks ago. Now, technically, Evaldi right now does not actually qualify to make a lot of the leaderboards, but he's not like unqualified by very much. He only trails Skubal by about 35 innings. It's 123 to 159. What is that?
And from some of the other guys, and from some of the other guys on the board, it's a matter of like 2 or 3 starts.
Yeah. Now, I want to bring our attention to the 2018 American League Cy Young voting, right? This year, Blake Snell.
Was that one? I thought it was a different one. Whoops.
No, he won over like Verlander, Sale, Kluber, all these other guys, right? He won over Verlander. He won over Kluber. Blake Snell only had
the 17 one.
What was the was 17 one again? What was it? Oh, that was Verlander.
No, that was the one where Kluber won.
Oh, that was Kluber.
But that's the one I thought. That's the one that I thought it was for a second.
Oh, true.
Snell.
So, anyways, Snell won over Verlander. He won over Kluber. Now, obviously, by the end of the season, he ended up qualifying. He had about 180 innings under his belt. I think Evaldi will probably end up qualifying by the end of the season, assuming he doesn't get hurt again. Blake Snell had a 1.89 ERA. Versus Verlander, who finished second, had a 252 over 214 innings. Kluber
And he also,
led.
yeah, he pitched like 30 innings less. So that right there proves that as long as the season's good enough, it doesn't matter if you don't have the innings as the upper as number
Exactly.
two.
So let's say you extrapolate this over a full season. Let's say you end Eovaldi at 175 innings. Let's say 175. Actually, is that kind of generous? I don't know. Let's say 170. And then let's say you end Skubal at, what do you want to say, 200?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
200. We'll even go 210.
Let's say 205, 210,
Yeah,
yeah. Because
205, 210.
or how about this? We can, if to make it easier, you can go based off the numbers of Snell and Verlander from 2018
Mm-hmm.
in this comparison,
Yeah.
where Evaldi has Snell's innings and then Verlander has then Skubal has.
Yeah,
Verlander's
yeah. You know what?
innings.
Let's do that. Because here's the thing, right? Eovaldi would lead Skubal's ERA by more than half a run, like,
Yeah,
which is crazy to say because Skubal's ERA right now is 2.32. Eovaldi's at 1.76. I do not think that enough people realize, and admittedly, I guess I'm guilty because I forgot about it when I said Skubal, but I don't think enough people realize just how ridiculous that is, right?
yeah,
We talked about how Tariq Skubal doesn't walk anyone. 141 walks per nine. Eovaldi's not very far off, man. 154 walks per nine. They allow home runs at the exact same rate, 0.73 home runs per nine. Skubal just strikes out way more batters.
yeah.
But what are the? I want to ask you, if the season ended and they have those innings that we talked about, 180, 215, whatever. I don't know if they would act. That's actually where they'd end, but we'll just put it there because I think I think this is a comparison that makes a lot of sense here. What are the chances that Eovaldi could actually get it? And if you were a voter, do you think, how hard would it be for you to decide that?
I mean, personally, innings aside, I still think Skubal is ahead. Yes, Evaldi has the lower ERA, but it's just the other stats too. The fact that Skubal walks less, he strikes out more. Um, his other numbers, like he has a much lower FIP. It's going into more than just the ERA.
Mm-hmm.
Skubal has him beat. And if you look at the expected ERA, Skubal has him beat 270 to 316. So obviously Valdi's getting lucky to some extent, pretty lucky. But again, he's pitching out of his mind. It's not like it's all luck here.
Mm-hmm.
But personally, I think Skubal still takes it, innings aside. But the argument could be there for sure.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really interesting thing to kind of keep an eye on once the season ends, because this is one that I don't actually think is all that clear cut. I mean, we already said Crochet was close. I think Eovaldi might be even closer than what's his face than Crochet is. So yeah, like we said, it's going to be a really interesting thing to keep an eye on come the end of the season.
Yeah.
Especially given what happens now. Obviously, there's a chance one of these guys could just absolutely blow up in a month.
For sure.
There's a chance that neither one allows a run in September or something like that. There's a chance for anything, right?
Also, there's one guy that I don't think has any chance and shouldn't have a chance at Cy Young, but a guy that I just want to talk about is kind of like a shout out.
Let's hear it.
This guy's been having a great year, and it's kind of going a bit under the radar. Kris Bubic, shout out to him.
Yup.
There's not a single pitcher in baseball that's giving up less home runs per nine than him with 80 plus innings. So basically, any starter that's had more than 10, 15 starts, he gives up the least amount of home runs. And he's doing all this. He's putting up some insane numbers, career year, a FIP of 287, ERA of 255. He's doing this while being the 17th percentile in fastball velocity. Just goes to show you don't need to pump 100.
Shout out to him, man. It just goes to show.
Yeah.
Hey, man, shout out to Mr. Bubic over here. Yeah, I think this is one of the more interesting races as of right now. We'll see how it shapes up down the stretch, but I think right now this is probably the most interesting award race in the entire league, to be completely honest with you.
I think a close second is the NL Rookie of the Year because you got Baldwin Collins, which is like a heavyweight matchup there for who's going to take it. But obviously, the Cy Young is a more prestigious award, so I 100% agree with you there.
I think just the Cy Young one is going to be a lot more interesting to watch. We'll go to AL Rookie of the Year. How much do we actually want to talk about this one? Because this is one I think it's like.
I mean, I'd
one is
spend time about the NL.
This one isn't close. Yeah. It's We don't even have to talk about this one.
The only way that Kurtz doesn't win is if he like goes hitless the rest of the year starting now.
I think he still would have like enough value to still get.
You would need Roman Anthony to continue being good, and then him to go like hitless, and then sure.
Yeah, and like shout out to everyone else in the race: Carlos Narvaez, Roman Anthony, like you said. Actually, his teammate Jacob Wilson. Four of the guys were on the same two teams. I think
Jacob Wilson. That was a guy who the first like
half of the season he had it.
It looks like this guy was not going to lose it, and then his teammate comes out of nowhere.
It looked like it was his award to lose because the All-Star rate, I was hitting like 360.
Yeah, I mean that's another thing. I mean he's such a good player too.
Yeah, shout out to all those guys, but it's Kurtz. Like it's not close either. Like he's multiple tiers above everyone else. Like he's at 181 WRC plus right now. Like that's ridiculous, dude. Like, what the hell, man? We will go over now to the NL. Like you said, there is Isaac Collins and Drake Baldwin. That's
a tough one. I personally want to lean Baldwin, though.
It's a tough one, man. Like, they both have been really good. Obviously, Baldwin does have the thing that he's a catcher going, albeit hasn't been like a great defensive catcher. He's been like, his framing and blocking has been like a little bit above average, like slightly above average. But I don't really think it would be enough.
I'm not taking position too much into account because if you take the fact that he's a catcher, you also got to take into account that Isaac Collins has an 8 outs above average, and he's been unbelievable in left field.
Well, yeah,
so,
it's like what I was saying earlier. Like,
and
this
that's
kind of
thing, hurt Baldwin,
this kind of thing is accounted for, like when you look at something like WAR, which is part of the reason why he's almost a full win behind Collins. It's 2.9 to 2.1.
Yes.
It's a 0.8 difference, right? It's an interesting thing, but Isaac Collins, man, he's like that, man. He's got a 131 WRC plus on the year. Obviously, he's also going to have points with voters just because he's on the Brewers and they've just been ridiculous. So he's going to get brownie points right there. Big thing for Isaac Collins is that we talked about swing decisions. You know how we talked about when we were talking about PCA, I talked about how he chases
Isaac Collins is
pitches.
Like an inverse PCA in that he does not chase.
Exactly. He's 93rd percentile in chase rate and he's 88th percentile in walk rate. Obviously, those two things go hand in hand because you're not swinging at that.
Swinging at garbage.
Exactly. You're not swinging at that changeup that broke or that fell below the zone. You're not swinging at the slider that broke outside. You're not swinging at that fastball that's just a little bit up and just tempted you to chase. No, you're laying off that kind of pitch, right? So shout out to him. That's a big part of the reason why he has been so good. He doesn't like hit the ball super hard. Like his average exit velocity is in the 30th percentile. His xWOB is in the 42nd percentile. His hard hit rate's in the 28th percentile, 21st percentile barrel rate. Like, he doesn't hit the ball super hard. It's that he's just such a smart hitter.
Yeah, and that's kind of what makes me think maybe Baldwin is more, like, I don't know. When I'm looking at what's going to happen the rest of the year, based off their peripherals, I think Drake Baldwin projects as the better hitter, as a guy who's going to finish stronger. And it's just the way that he hits the ball in terms of with his bat speed. I mean, Drake Baldwin's in the 90th percentile in bat speed. Mm-hmm. And he hits the ball hard. He gets high exit velos. And Collins, he's getting the stats. But I'm not going to say it's not sustainable because obviously being a smart player will help.
I do think that...
But it's just...
There probably is a little bit higher of, like... I'm not saying overall for, like, a player in general, but I think... Like, Collins, I think, would be a little less susceptible to, like, a prolonged slump.
Yeah, I think the two could kind of... I think that Collins is going to falter, and we've seen it a bit. His OPS is dropping a bit. His stats are coming a little down. He's still playing great baseball, don't get me wrong. He's just not doing it as good as he was a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And then on top of, the fact that Drake Baldwin has the consistency of hitting the ball hard. I think that's going to play well for him the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to help him kind of catch up in terms of, whatever stat. Right now, the OPSs are literally 0.05 apart.
Mm-hmm.
So, that right there. I have a question for you about Rookie of the Years, though.
What's up?
Because this has been a hot topic in different sports. NHL is the one where it usually gets talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there should be like an age cap for Rookie of the Year?
I don't really think so, because here's the thing. You don't really see too often, at least, like super old, like old rookies. I do understand that Isaac Collins is like 28 years old, but I don't really think that like this kind of thing happens enough that it would be like, man, you got 30-year-olds coming in here every year and winning Rookie of the Year and this and that. I don't really think that's that frequent that I think we need it.
No, I agree. It's just because yes, I do think that he is a rookie by the definition of what a rookie is. He is.
It's not a best young player thing. It's a Rookie of the Year.
But when you think about the fact that Isaac Collins has been playing professionally for about, I think it's like 2 or 3 more years than Baldwin, does that play into your vote at all, or is that just separate?
No, that's
okay. I agree.
For me, that's completely separate, because what I'm looking at, I'm not looking at what happened in the minor leagues, how you were this or that, when you were drafted. That for me doesn't matter. I am strictly looking at your rookie year, because that's quite literally what the award is. Like, who was the best rookie?
Yeah, there's obviously extreme cases. Like, if there was like a 32-year-old who's played like 12 years professionally, it's his first major league year, and just got the call up and won it, that's when I'd say, okay, that's a bit crazy. But I don't see the issue in Collins' case.
No, I don't really. I wouldn't see the issue there either, to be honest.
It's just something that I've seen a lot of people bring up, and I was just curious your stance on it.
Is it more of a hockey thing? Because I've never seen it in like baseball discussion
before. Yeah, I mean, the only reason I bring it up is because I've seen people the past couple days, like, whenever they're talking about who the Rookie of the Year is, they say, oh, yeah, Collins, like, pushing 30 or whatever, he shouldn't win it. Oh. And it just kind of sparked this. But, yeah, like, in hockey, because there's players that play in Russia, for example, so they don't come over until they're 23, 24-ish. And usually rookies in the NHL are, like, 18 to 20. So there was a guy who came over from Russia, played his first career NHL season and won it at like 24 years old, despite playing professionally in Russia. So it's kind of that thing.
Okay. I see.
So that's where the problem comes. When you're playing in other professional leagues, yeah, but when you're playing in the minor leagues, I don't think that should qualify. If you come over from like the KBO and win it at 26, 27, I'd say, okay, I don't know about that. That's when you're kind of pushing it a bit.
Yeah, well, even still, you're still an MLB rookie, so I don't know.
Even so, but it's just, I don't know. Personally, I think that it should be strictly rookies from professional, as if you're playing in the minor leagues, that doesn't count. Like, you're still a rookie.
Obviously not.
But if you come over from Japan and you're playing professionally, that's what, like, again, if you come over at 23, 24, fine. If you're coming over at 28, 29, 30, that's when you kind of, it's definitely like, it depends on, like, each individual case would have to be viewed. But as a whole, I don't think it's so much of an issue, considering it doesn't happen that much where, the best rookie is 28. And even then, that's not really necessarily a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
It just goes to show, again, it's funny how everything ties in. It just goes to show that, the Brewers worked on developing him in the minor leagues.
You know what? You're right. See, this is the theme of the podcast. This is the theme of the pod today. It's player development. This is the player development episode, right?
Yup.
Is there anything else you want to say about this particular race?
No, that's...
All right.
No.
All right. We're going to play a little game here, ladies and gents. So, as far as I can tell, I'm the creator of this game. So we are going to play a little game that I like to call Narrative Ball. So, I have already taken... so, for each race... Well, not each race. For the MVP and Cy Young ones, I kind of forgot to filter through each league, but whatever. We have a player pool of 5 players per race. We have 5 players per MVP, 5 for Cy Young, and then for the Rookie of the Year ones, I separated the leagues. Again, for the MVP and Cy Young ones, I kind of forgot to do that, but that's okay. So we have a random player pool of 5 different players here. I took the top 100 players in F4. I told ChatGPT to give me a random number through 1 and 100, and I got those players where they rank in F4, and so I compiled them into a small little player pool here, and we are going to take one of these players, and we are going to try and build a narrative as to why he should win MVP over one of our established front runners. Okay? So,
this is the first time I'm hearing about this, by the way.
Yes, I did not tell him about this before the pod started. If anyone says that, they're lying. We are each going to pick one player from each pool, right? Again, for the MVP and Cy Young ones, we can just pick one. We don't have to do one for each league because I didn't think of that. So I am going to flip a coin. Ethan, you're going to tell me heads or tails.
Tails.
Okay, so tails. So I'm going to be heads.
Wait, can I take the side of the coin if it lands sideways?
No, but you got tails anyway, so you get to pick. So we're gonna start with MVP. You get your pick. So our MVP pool, by the way, we get to choose one of the 5 players here: Xander Bogaerts, Jose Ramirez, Jose Altuve, Francisco Lindor, or Ernie Clement.
Yeah, so unfortunately to my boy Erndog, I don't think I'm gonna be picking him. Love him, great guy. I don't know if that's happening though. But anyway, I'm going to be taking J-Ram.
Yep. That's probably the easiest one to build a case for. I'm going to be taking Lindor because I actually think they're going to be kind of a fun case to be built here. This is really going to put my narrative ball skills to the test. See how good of a propaganda artist I am right now. So Ethan, if you want to start and give your case, try to build your Jose MV.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard to build a case with any player in baseball when you're throwing them up against one of the greatest players ever in Aaron Judge, but we're going to try. What some of my notice, first of all, there's an expression called defense wins championships, right?
Yep.
Jose Ramirez is a steady defender. 92nd percentile and outs above average compared to Aaron Judge being in, the 78th. Still good, but it's not elite. It's not elite. And Aaron Judge, obviously, not known for his, he's not, I'm not saying he's a bad fielder, but that's not what he's known for. Also, Jose Ramirez adds a completely new element that Judge can't, which is, his base running. I mean, he had 41 stolen bases last year, Jose Ramirez. He has 36 this year, well on pace for another 40. He was a home run off from a 40-40 season last year, which would have been incredible. And this year, it's not looking like 40-40, but 30-30 is going to happen most likely. He needs 4 home runs. I don't know. Jose Ramirez, what he's able to do at the third base position defensively is unbelievable. Obviously, he doesn't strike out, doesn't swing and miss nearly as much as Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge having one of the highest whiff rates in baseball, whereas Jose Ramirez has one of the lowest. So that's something that, I'm taking Jose Ramirez over. And honestly, he doesn't have the home runs, but, I mean, he still hits almost 300, still has about a 370 on base. This is a very well-rounded player. Jose Ramirez is a more well-rounded player than Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge, you got the offense. Jose Ramirez, you got everything. It's not just one little thing that sticks out. It's every part of the game. I think he's a better, well-rounded player, and you can make the case there for MVP because it's not just he doesn't just hit home runs. He doesn't just hit for that matter. He defends incredibly, he runs incredibly, and he hits incredibly. Plus, if you take Aaron Judge off the Yankees, this is the way I'm seeing it, you take him off the Yankees, they're still in the playoff race. You take Jose Ramirez off the Guardians, they're a 40-win team.
Hey man, you got it. You got it, man. You got it. Is that your case for Jose Ramirez right there?
That's my case. Yeah, that's my case.
All right, so kind of to jump onto a similar point that you were on. Also, I think this is I kind of didn't realize this is really funny. We chose both the former Cleveland infield duo right there. I think it's really funny.
Yeah.
So one thing that you mentioned with Jose Ramirez versus Aaron Judge is that a whole defense wins championships, right?
Yes.
Lindor has been known to be one of the best defensive shortstops in all of baseball. It ranks in the 90th percentile in outs above average this year, 5 outs above average, while still being an overall really positive offensive contributor at a 119 WRC+. Factor that in, he is also a positive base runner with a 2.4 BSR, or if you like StatCast, he ranks 83rd percentile in base running value. Now, granted, there is a really large gap in their WRC+. Ohtani is 174, and Lindor is 119. Let's also point out the fact that, number one, Shohei Ohtani has mostly been DHing this year. He has started to pitch a little bit recently, but not at enough of a volume to be where it would be a difference maker in an even race. A lot of that value he's accumulated has been at a DH slot versus Lindor playing good defense at a premium position. While Ohtani does have him in offensive numbers, I also would like to point out that the Dodger Stadium, where Ohtani, by the end of the season, will have played half his games, also has one of the highest park factors in the entire league. According to StatCast, Dodger Stadium is the fourth most hitter-friendly ballpark in all of baseball. The only ballparks that have a higher park factor is Chase Field, Fenway Park, and Coors Field. Also, two of those parks, are also in Ohtani's division. So Ohtani is a big beneficiary of playing in a lot of hitters' parks. Considering that 3 of the top 4 are in his division, and one of them he plays half his games at. You take that to the Mets, for example. The Mets rank 20th overall in park factor at 98. This is a below average park factor. You take that, obviously Lindor's offensive numbers are going to look worse when you compare playing in a really pitcher-friendly park. If you want a little bit more of a comparison, Dodger Stadium has the most home runs hit in it out of any park this year. Dodger Stadium has 129 home runs hit. 129 home runs have been hit in Dodger Stadium. Some that follow up are some that we notoriously know as hitters' parks. Great American Ballpark, which is the Reds' home, and of course Yankee Stadium, which everyone knows for the short porch. Dodger Stadium has graded out as an even more hitter-friendly park than either of those two. The park factor for them and Great American is actually the same, but overall the offensive numbers have looked better at Dodger Stadium. So I think if you put them in more or less an even park factor, I think that you would see those offensive numbers kind of get a little bit closer. And so when you take that and you also take into account the fact that Lindor is not only playing a much more important position, he is also playing really good defense at that much more important position, you would see a lot closer value here. You would also see a lot closer offensive numbers, and at which point you might be able to actually see Lindor take an overall jump over Ohtani in terms of value, right? There is a slight discrepancy in plate appearances volume, but it's like literally like 3 games worth. I don't really think that is that different, to be completely honest with you. You do also have to counter in that Ohtani is a degenerate gambler.
That is true. And I know that this is your battle and I shouldn't be jumping in, but I don't remember Lindor ever costing Hawaii hundreds of millions of dollars in a real estate.
Yeah, I don't remember any of that either. You also have to take into account the fact that Shohei Ohtani is in the 18th percentile in strikeout percentage and 4th percentile in whiff rate, whereas Lindor ranks in the 62nd and 69th percentiles respectively. According to StatCast, Lindor actually squares the ball up more than Ohtani, 44th percentile versus 39th percentile. So overall, when you take everything into account, Lindor, while still being a really good base runner, not quite as good as Ohtani, trails him by a little bit, but not too much. And plus, base running isn't like the most important thing anyways. He kills him in defense, also while playing a much more important position, and also is kind of hit hard by the Citi Field park factor, whereas Ohtani is a big beneficiary of multiple NL West park factors, which help inflate his offensive numbers. So if you even the playing field for them, you might even be able to see Lindor jump him in value. That's my case.
Yeah.
I believe 10% of what I said.
That's the beauty of the game.
That's the beauty of the game right here. Like, at a certain point, you just got to build the agenda. So that's what's fun about this game.
Yeah.
So, those were our MVP ones. We now have
Yep.
our Cy Young ones, and this is our player pool before we start. It's Brian Bayo, Zach Wheeler, Carlos Rodon, Brandon Pfaadt, and Matthew Boyd. So obviously there's a big polar bear in Arlington right here. That would be a really hard one to build a case around, but it's always doable. I accidentally closed the heads and tails thing by accident. All right, Ethan, give me heads or tails.
Tails again. Tails never fails.
Tails never fails. All right, let me flip. We got. It's tails again. You're right. Tails never fails. So you get your first pick out of this pool right here.
For Cy Young. You know what? I'm gonna give it to you because I did take the last one. I did say that I did want to split the major ones.
You're gonna give it to me.
Yes, you got it.
How cute. I am going to go with who do I want to go with here? I'm debating between three. I'm not doing Brandon Pfaadt because I'm not doing. Is it actually said?
Dude, what do you mean?
I'm not doing Brandon Pfaadt. Sorry, my boy. I don't really know how I could build a case.
I remember
right there.
Vlad hit 480 on him. Does that count for anything?
I think that counts against him. To be totally honest with you.
Oh damn.
I am actually going to go with. Give me Carlos Rodon as my pick right here. Give me Carlos Rodon as my pick
I like
right here.
that. I actually like that.
Give me Rodon.
Okay.
Who's your pick gonna be here, Ethan?
That's tough. So between Wheeler or Boyd, I'm gonna go Wheeler.
You're gonna go Zach Wheeler?
Yeah.
All right. Let me just pull up all my stuff first so I can make my little narrative right here. Build my little propaganda before I delve completely into it. All right. So I will start, seeing as I guess picked first. I'm pinning him up against Scooble. I think we kind of established that as our front runner. I'm not going to do the whole Evaldi thing. I don't really feel like arguing against two people. I'll just do the one. I also figure that's how we should do this in general. But overall for Rodon, there are a few interesting things to look at. As we know, Yankee Stadium is a massive, massive hitter-friendly ballpark. I just mentioned all the offensive stats in the stadiums. Yankee Stadium has actually the third most home runs out of any ballpark this season. Obviously, I said before, the 1 and 2 are Dodger Stadium and Great American Ballpark. Obviously, we know the short porch as well. That is a real thing. So let's say that Carlos Rodon is going up against a lefty. They're able to really take advantage if they are really good at pulling the baseball. And really down either left or right field line, they're really able to feast. In spite of that, Carlos Rodon has still pitched excellently this season. He's sitting at a 3.24 ERA with a K per 9 just under 10, and he actually hasn't even allowed very many home runs, sitting at just 1.12 home runs per 9. Another thing that's also interesting is that batters are not hitting quite as well against Rodon as they are against Scooble. And when I say that, I am pointing towards the fact that Carlos Rodon has a 207 expected batting average, which ranks in the 90th percentile, versus Scooble is 216, which is the 84th percentile. Obviously, one is worse than the other. And I was also just talking about park factors and such. Would you believe that I almost said Great American Ballpark, I'm so sorry. Comerica Park is actually ranked 17th in park factor. We are looking at a tie between a whole bunch of stadiums. Some of those include like Truist, Busch Stadium, Rogers Center is actually considered a more or less neutral park in this measure of it. In addition to Yankee Stadium being a known hitter-friendly ballpark, Carlos Rodon also pitches in the same division as the Red Sox and the Orioles. The Red Sox rank second in park factor, which means they are the second most offensive-friendly ballpark in all of baseball. And the Orioles, Camden Yards, is 10th. So, in addition to known slug palace, if you want to call it that, Yankee Stadium, Rodon also has to pitch in a number of other really, really good stadiums. Not to mention some of the absolute juggernauts that he has to pitch against. The Red Sox have been kind of a force this season. They've been slumping in their last 10 or so games, but for the overall season, they are a playoff team. And Toronto, mind you, has one of the best records in all of baseball and has been one of baseball's best lineups. So in addition to having to pitch in some really, really tough ballparks, Rodon also has to pitch in a division with the team that is third in baseball in WRC+. He also has to pitch with another top 12 team. Versus, if you actually look at Scooble, let's take a look at some of the teams in that division. 3 of the 4 teams in the AL Central rank in the bottom 5 in WRC+. The Royals, Guardians, and White Sox rank 26th, 27th, and 28th with a 90, and then the other 2 have an 87 WRC+. The only other team that's like kinda okay-ish when you look at WRC+, relatively speaking, it's the Twins, and they rank 21st at 96. So Scooble is literally farming terrible teams in order to accumulate stats. This man is
wow.
He's literally smurfing. If you know what that means, he's smurfing. He's actually smurfing. Versus Carlos Rodon is having to play in a real division. Unlike this
guy's smurfing in rank, bro.
He's smurfing in rank. This is the guy that comes into my Rivals games and he's actually a peak fucking Eternity player. And he's fucking farming my gold and plat lobbies, man.
Dude, and you're getting the lobbies with Godly Postman.
And I'm getting the Godly Postman lobbies where he walks out of spawn with Captain America standing there and he gets beat down in 5 seconds. It says, God, what is my team doing? I keep walking into this Captain America. Shout out Rivals, man. That game's super fun. But yeah, Thierry Scooble is smurfing in the AL Central. And so that is a big reason why
he's smurfing in quadruple A.
He's literally playing against a bunch of bottom 10 offenses, and you're going to tell me that he's an elite pitcher? I'm not buying it, man. I'm not buying this.
That's a good one.
Rodon has a much better track record as well of being elite. This dates back to even his later days with the White Sox, and even his days with the Giants versus Tariq Scooble. You know, again, he's a Smurf, man. Plus he's 28. Like, people are acting like, you know, it's the next big young pitcher. Sorry, this guy's fucking unk, bro. This guy's coming in and saying, "How do you do, fellow kids?" That plus like literally farming bad teams. I can't give my Cy Young to this guy. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's my case right there. You feel free to take over.
Yeah. So for this one, we're arguing why Zach Wheeler deserves the Cy Young over Paul Skeens. And okay, the first thing I also want to go based off, you know, what we see from the stadiums. Do you know what the easiest home run or the easiest like the easiest pitcher park is, like the biggest pitcher park is in terms of home runs in baseball?
Tell me, what is it?
It's PNC Park, and that's where Paul Skeens pitches. Ooh. Do you know what the fourth, you know, least pitcher friendly is?
Oh, tell me what it is.
Citizens Bank Park, where Wheeler pitches. And yes, you'll see that in their home run per 9 numbers. It does reflect that. But wouldn't you say that would affect the ERA? You mean the ERA in which the difference is 271 to 216? But that's where it gets interesting. Zach Wheeler's expected ERA is 246. Paul Skeens, 262. Their xFIPs, 269 for Wheeler, 307 for Skeens. The Skeens is getting lucky. That's an objective fact here. So Wheeler is getting unlucky. That's also an objective fact here. Paul Skeens is considered this guy who just strikes everyone out, right? But Wheeler has more strikeouts per 9. And Paul Skeens, everyone says, is a guy who just, you know, just very efficient. And I'm not saying he's not. But Wheeler walks less batters, too. So now you're really getting into it. How come that is? Well, let's look at it like this. Here are just some of the categories that Wheeler has the edge on over Skeens. Expected ERA, expected batting average, average exit velo, chase rates, whiff rates, strikeout percentage, walk percentage. He doesn't have the barrel percentage, but he does have the hard hit by a lot, by about 6 whole %. Wheeler is a dog. And quite frankly, if he didn't get the blood clots that are likely taking him out of this season, I think he would win, and I think he should win. He is beating him in almost every single category, other than just the normal, the what everyone sees, the ERA, right? People think, and we're in a day and age where there's so much more available to us than just ERA. So why are we going to be one-dimensional here and only look at ERA when every other stat is in Wheeler's favor? To me, that just means Wheeler's better, and it's just the one stat that caters to Skeens. I think that means that Wheeler's having a better year. And I don't think it's as easy as just saying, yep, Skeens is the Cy Young, there's no one else that comes close. Because quite frankly, Zach Wheeler doesn't just come close. He's better.
Good shit right there. For the Rookie of the Year ones, I do have the NL and the AL pools separated. Do you want to do we each do an NL one, we each do an AL one, or you just want to do one overall?
I mean, quite frankly, I don't know how Kurtz is gonna. That's even worse than comparing anyone to Judge. So I don't know about that. But
you don't want to try and argue against.
No, we obviously will try, but I don't know how it's gonna go. Yeah, I mean, we could obviously split it up, or we could just choose one. Like, one of us does the AL, one of us does the NL. Mm-hmm. Like, we choose from the list.
Sure. You know what, we'll do that.
I guess. Do you prefer either NL or AL?
I don't. NL's a lot closer.
I mean, we already talked about. The thing is, we already talked about Drake Baldwin versus Collins. That debate.
Yeah, we kind of did.
That's the problem.
And ironically, Baldwin was one of the ones in that pool because I kind of just.
Yeah.
I left the.
So
maybe
we just do the AL.
We'll do
we
the
just
AL
do the AL.
We'll do the AL.
Yeah.
Sorry, NL fans. We don't like you today.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry. No, we gave you bonus content.
We did.
NL,
we actually did.
We
give
love
you
you more,
content.
maybe.
That's true. Are you going heads or tails in this one?
I'm going tails again.
Going
3. Come on.
Let me flip. It's tails again. You're on fire today.
Never fails. I am telling you.
It never fails. All right, pick your guy.
So, my guy for the American League. I'm gonna go Jacob Wilson.
You're gonna go Jacob Wilson? Yeah.
The teammate of Nick Kurtz.
Yeah, I feel like that was kind of an easy pick there. I can't even.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard though because it's just. I don't know. You know what? Yeah. I mean, I'll go. I'll just go Wilson. Who are you gonna go?
I'm debating between if I want to go Colson Montgomery or Kyle Teal right here.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm gonna go Kyle Teal on this one.
Okay.
Kyle Teal of our beloved Chicago White Sox. So
great ball club.
Yeah, wonderful ball club. So many things going right for them. A beacon of success, a beacon of hope, actually, is the White Sox. So, since you won the coin flip, you get to go first in making your case.
All right. So, obviously, Nick Kurtz. I mean, he is the Rookie of the Year. Or is he? Oh, no, he is. But I don't think Jacob Wilson should be slept on. The first thing that I notice, Jacob Wilson doesn't walk as much as Kurtz, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the strikeout numbers, absolutely generational. Nick Kurtz is striking out almost 30% of the time. That is absurd. That is one of the highest clips in the sport right now.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that I'm noticing is that Jacob Wilson doesn't strike out. And I'm not saying that means that, his is at 15 to 20%. He strikes out 7.8% of the time. He is a contact machine. He squares up so many balls. He does not swing and miss. He does not strike out. He is just such a good hitter, a mature hitter for his age. And I think that if you're looking for a guy that just, will hit for the average and just doesn't strike out, just puts you in positions to move the runners, get guys on base, and move them around, score runs, whatever, Jacob Wilson is who you're looking for. You're looking at a guy to put the bat on the ball, put it in play, and, whatever happens there. Plus, Jacob Wilson as a rookie is playing shortstop compared to Nick Kurtz playing first base. And they have the same outs above average, which again, not great for Wilson having a negative outs above average at shortstop, but it's hard. He is playing the hardest position in baseball, and he is doing so at a not. It's not the worst. He's serviceable while having an elite bat. So when you compare the positions that they're playing, I think Jacob Wilson, it's a harder position. He's got more to worry about. Where Nick Kurtz is playing first base, he just goes in there. He can focus on his bat. Jacob Wilson has, the game as a whole to focus on. He has to basically, I'm not going to say call a game. He's not a catcher, but he's kind of the captain of that infield. He's the guy that kind of has to set things straight. He has way more responsibility. And as a young player, it's much harder to play shortstop. As any player, it's harder to play shortstop than it is first base. So that's one thing. But I don't know. The fact that Jacob Wilson doesn't strike out, doesn't swing and miss, he's a very smart hitter, as is what we were saying about different guys. Like Isaac Collins was a guy that we called a smart hitter. And I think that Nick Kurtz is, he's not, I'm not going to say dumb hitter, but he doesn't have the same decisions Jacob Wilson does. And I think that Jacob Wilson's, his approach is going to age better. And I think as the season ends, the last bit, I think that we could see Kurtz, the strikeout numbers will still continue to rise. Whereas Jacob Wilson, he's not going to strike out. He's going to put the ball in play. And I think you could see by, his hitting profile, that's what he does, puts the ball in play. And that's something that's going to stick with him, his smart approach and his swing decisions. Obviously, this is very hard to do considering we all know Nick Kurtz is far and away the favorite, but, it's fun to try.
Hey, man.
What do you got for me?
All right, so I'm looking at Kyle Teal right here, right, over the White Sox. So, really, the major thing that Nick Kurtz has on him, obviously his rate stats look a little bit better, and obviously he does have the volume. The number one, Kyle Teal has the misfortune of being in the baseball equivalent of hell, and that is multiple things. Number one, they're trying to develop like two catchers at the same time, and so that is not helping Kyle Teal's case. So what's happening here is he is suffering a loss of volume because of the White Sox being the CEO of CTE. I actually would like to petition to change their acronym.
I always thought that was Antonio Brown.
I think we should change their abbreviation from CWS or CHW, depending on what you look at, to CTE. I think we should be unanimous on that. But that has been an objective thing that has hurt Kyle Teal. It has probably hurt his overall numbers because it's probably harder to build a rhythm when you're really in and out of the lineup and they're trying to do the whole two guys at the same time kind of thing, right? Some days you're DA, some days you're catching, this and that, right? Kyle Teal is a positive behind the plate. He is in the 67th percentile in framing. While he does not qualify, like have enough plate appearances to qualify for a lot of the other percentile leaderboards, he actually does have some pretty glaring things that he's better at than Nick Kurtz. For example, he strikes out almost 6% less than Kurtz. He whiffs way less. He actually squares the ball up more. His squared up percentage is about 4.5% better than Kurtz's. And another thing that's interesting is that Kyle Teal has a higher expected batting average than Kurtz by about 7 points right here. Another thing, also, by the way, when I had my park factors and everything up, I forgot to change the rolling years. So that actually left the athletics and stuff out. It left two ballparks out. I don't know. Oh, it was the Rays, the George Steinbrenner. So I actually adjusted it, and considering that the A's are playing in Sacramento this year, that ballpark ranks second this year in park factor. So obviously Kurtz is going to be a beneficiary of that. That is a part of the reason why he has a 181 WRC plus. Also, another thing that Kurtz has, you can say against or going for him, depending on how you look at it, is that he, by the difference of WOBA and ex-WOBA, is the second luckiest hitter in all of baseball. His WOBA is 46 points higher than his ex-WOBA. His ex-WOBA isn't just 390, but his WOBA is 436. So he is playing a little bit over his head. The only player in baseball who is luckier than him, ironically, it's Miguel Andujar. Versus Kyle Teal, the difference in his WOBA and ex-WOBA is 26 points. He has a 367 ex-WOBA versus a 341 WOBA, right? To put that into perspective, a 26-point difference, that makes him a more unlucky hitter than someone like Bobby Witt Jr., Manny Machado, Kyle Schwarber. Those are some guys who have a little bit more luck on their side than Kyle Teal. You also, again, you factor in the ridiculous park factor for the Athletics. 109 is second in the league, just a little bit behind Colorado, versus the White Sox park factor of 97, which ranks 21st in all of baseball. So you have a bunch of factors that are up against Kyle Teal, but that does not mean that Kyle Teal has been poor. No, he's actually been really good. He's been playing at an over 4 FWAR per 650 pace. It's almost 4.5. That also does not account for the fact that he has been unable to really establish a proper rhythm because of the White Sox attempt to develop 2 catchers at once. His offensive numbers would be a little higher if not for the park factor. And also you have to dock Nick Kurtz a little bit because he is playing in the second most hitter-friendly park in all of baseball. Also, keep in mind, the only park factor that ranks ahead of the A's is Coors. Obviously, Coors effect is a thing, right? The ball travels more, the ball just moves differently. But also you have to keep into account that it's really hard for Rockies players to play on the road because, again, like I said, the ball moves a lot differently. So in that sense, he might be playing in the most hitter-friendly park in baseball versus Kyle Teal is playing in a little bit more of a pitcher's park. And despite that, he is still performing at a very, very, very above average rate at a 118 WRC+. That is while also being really unlucky in terms of his WOBA and xWOBA. That is with Kurtz being a really lucky hitter in terms of his WOBA, xWOBA. That is with Kurtz being, playing in one of the most hitter-friendly parks. That is also, by the way, Teal is playing the most important defensive position on the diamond. He is a catcher. He is behind the dish, and he has been a good defensive catcher. Like I said earlier, 67th percentile in framing. He is also still above average in terms of catching, runner stealing, and pop time and all that, right? He's also actually decently fast for catcher. He actually has a 58th percentile sprint speed, whereas Kurtz is kind of a slowpoke over here, 47th percentile sprint speed over here. So one thing you also have to do, keep in mind, is much like Tariq Skubal, Nick Kurtz is kind of farming. Do you remember the 4 home run game, and one of those was against a position player?
Oh, yeah.
He's farming. Like, he's actually just farming. So I don't really understand how you can give Rookie of the Year to someone like that, someone who's farming stats and is such a ballpark beneficiary. You know what I mean? All these kind of things. He's really lucky. I don't really understand how that's your Rookie of the Year over someone like Kyle Teal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And also, Grant Taylor, we didn't talk about him, but that was one of the options we could have picked.
That was one of the ones in the pool, yeah. With his oh my god, what did I say? It was like 20 something innings pitched. It was 26 innings. That would have been a one, all right.
You know what? I like that game. That was fun.
Yeah.
I'd like to do that again for next season whenever we're talking about the award winners.
Yeah, we'll do that. That was a fun one. We got to put our narrative, our propaganda skills to the test, if you will. So yeah, that was a good one. Do you have anything baseball related that you're really itching to get out there, or?
No, I think that's good.
That's good. Yeah, that was it was a good episode. As always, if you are still listening, thank you. If you only listen for 5 minutes, still thank you. If you listen in any capacity, thank you so very much for joining us for another episode.
Even if you just click on it, hit subscribe on YouTube, hit follow on Spotify, wherever you're listening, it means more than you know.
Of course. Of course, absolutely. Every little bit means a lot. So, thank you everyone who has stuck through any part of this of the pod. We will see you again next week. Thank you for sitting through our little narrative ball game right there. I'm hoping to incorporate a little more like fun segments like that into the pod as opposed to just all business kind of thing. Have a little bit of fun, you know what I mean? So, thank you for sticking through. We hope that your team does well. Unless you are a Red Sox or Yankees fan, I hope your team does really bad. Anyways, we will see you again in a week. See you later.
Yep.